smart speaker. talkSPORT.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Score a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
Good morning, here are your 10 o'clock headlines. I'm Will Hobbs. We don't try to be like this, but when the opponent is better, we defend deeper. Those were the words, if you can believe it, of Pep Guardiola at the Emirates yesterday. Never before has a Pep side had as little as 32% possession in a Premier League game. Ali McCoist was shocked by the tactics, particularly the substitution of the opening goal scorer.
You could argue that in taking off Haaland, at that point, he took off one of his best defenders.
Yeah, see the TV interview where Pep said Haaland asked to come off. Well, look here, son. You play the last 15 minutes, you can have all of next week off because we've got a League Cup game in midweek. You know, he's back for Burnley at the weekend.
As for Arteta, who's being lambasted for an overly cautious starting 11, Ali says the critics are too loud.
I don't think he's wrong at all, starting with Madueke and Trossard, right? He could have started with Saka by the looks of things, and he could have started with Martinelli. Well, we could have a discussion. Does he start Eze in the middle of the park instead of either? We're talking about two players here, Marino and Zubimendi.
Unai Emery, meanwhile, has accused his side of laziness and losing their identity after a 1-1 draw with 10-man Sunderland extended their winless run. Troy Deeney suggested Ollie Watkins looks too comfortable and needs to step up in all departments. And the Tokyo Heat, badly located training facilities and injuries are all being blamed for Team GB's failure to deliver a single Athletics World Championship gold medal since 2003. But our expert, Michael Waydock, says none of the excuses wash.
Johnny Brownlee in triathlon, for example, if he's competing in a hot and humid country, he will go into his conservatory, get on his treadmill and blow hot air in his face to get ready for it. These are all things that should have been planned for, and I don't really buy into these excuses.
There's more on talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The government says Hamas will not benefit from recognising Palestine, and Gatwick Airport's second runway could create thousands of jobs, according to the Chancellor. More news at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Most places will stay dry today with plenty of showers. A few coastal showers in play, temperatures below average.
Jordan on talkSPORT. Contemplation, agitation, expectation for the football nation. Welcome to the Colosseum of confrontation. White versus Jordan. When the mics go live, the gloves come off.
White and Jordan.
Mid-mornings on talkSPORT.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. So as Arsenal and Manchester City finishes honours even, whose safety-first approach was more regrettable, Arteta's or Guardiola's? Meantime, in 4 months, how have Villa gone from Champions League quarter-finalists to lazy and having no identity? Also today, are West Ham Championship bound? Could Wolves' Pereira decision backfire? Are Liverpool perfection personified in outcomes? Can Manchester United be trusted to create momentum? And who has lost more perspective regarding bomb squads? The players involved, the PFA, or the clubs allowing it to happen? This is Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we're live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Monday morning. Now that has a ring to it, doesn't it, Simon? Mm-hmm. Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. Danny Murphy.
Well, it used to be a couple of years ago. It used to be my regular slot, if you recall.
Yes, I do know.
Things changed a little bit with the scheduling and the Monday nights and stuff like that. But yeah, it's nice to be here on a Monday morning because generally we tend to get to speak about football and not silly political issues we have to dance around.
We are in the company of a true thespian, a great in the world, in the theatre
Another
world.
string to his big bow.
Another string to his already immense bow. Ali and Kate, you were there. I met you on Thursday night. Where? At the London Palladium. An evening with Neil Warnecke. And it was an evening of storytelling and Neil's career in management, which has been incident-packed. And in the second half, on comes Mr. Jordan, former owner of Crystal Palace, and you promptly brought the house down. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I saw one of my old players, Clint Hill. I didn't expect to see him.
Oh, yeah.
They had a bit of a QPR reunion, didn't they? They said Jamie Mackey there and Clint Hill and Tommy Smith talking about the QPR days, which I wasn't particularly interested in. But no, it was great. Neil's in good form. It's a good show.
Yeah.
And a good audience, I think.
It was a great audience, Simon, and fans of all his clubs that he's managed, Gainsborough, Trinity, to Scarborough, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, QPR, Cardiff, they all get something out of it. That was the thing for me, and they bought right into it.
I mean, you'll always get your value from Neil. I mean, as I said on the stage, I think every club besides Aberdeen has had a good time with him and had achievements and obviously lifted them, and I certainly did.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating for me because I remember when he took the job at Palace, and I said on the stage that the audience, the media had billed it as football's two most combustible figures getting together. And it wasn't like that. And Neil had said at the time, this will be my last job. There'll be no other job for me. Right? He did about 20 jobs since. But he was then the age that I'm now. And so I thought he was 157. And now I'm the same age as he was when he took his last job in football.
He's had a phenomenal... I think still when people talk about him or the perception of him because of his character, you lose the actual quality of the achievements. Unbelievable.
Yes.
To do what he's done.
Yeah.
And impact so many players throughout his career. Just phenomenal.
You're right, Danny. The guy that always blew me away about name retention, he could remember names all over his career, many parts of his career, was Sir Alex. Neil Warnock is the same. He can remember a name where he was at that time.
Well, I would imagine that's what made them the managers that they are at the levels that they were.
Yeah.
The ability to focus on detail. I mean, the other side of the equation, you used to have the sort of parodying of Sir Bobby Robson, who couldn't remember people's names.
That's right.
So people work on different levels, but the fact that people can have that detail and can make people focused on the things that they need to do probably tells why they were in a job for so long, and in Ferguson's circumstances, why he was such a great manager.
Yeah,
won so many things.
Well, it was a terrific evening. You did something briefly similar, didn't you, Danny? At Liverpool, where some Liverpool greats in the theatre.
I've done a few. I remember doing one up at Liverpool, which was huge. I think there was like 4,000 or 5,000 people there with Phil Thompson, Bruce Grobbelaar. I think there was someone else there. I'm doing a service forgetting, but it was a great experience.
Yeah.
People like to come and see and listen. And
they do. The stories.
Brucey had some great stories.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I did one in Glasgow with Souness, Graham Souness on stage, and it was immense. Ian Durant was on, the former manager, Philippe Clement.
What was you doing there? Comparing?
Yes, I was.
I was going to say,
good evening, everybody.
You haven't got many good stories.
I have no good stories to divulge to anybody. A lot to get through this morning, and of course, as always, you're watching as well as listening, and we're delighted about that. You're watching Samsung, Fire TV, Chromecast, Google, even Prime Video. Actually, on the subject of watching something, The Greatest Showman, Simon, unbelievable on Netflix. Matchroom, The Greatest Showman, story of Barry Hearn and Eddie Hearn and what they've created. Honest to God, I watched all 6 episodes.
Hell of a business.
Weekend. One heck of a business.
Hell of a business. I mean, you pointed me at it over the weekend. I had a quick glance at it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hell. I mean, they filmed. I didn't realise they were going to film some of the in-break stuff.
When Eddie was in here with you and me.
Yeah, selective about which particular parts they filmed in the break. But the fact of the matter is that Matchroom is a phenomenal business, irrespective of whether Queensbury are beaten them 5-0 in 5v5s. Matchroom are worth £1 billion. Barry Hearn, and then latterly Eddie have built some business.
I think a billion and a bit.
Like them or loathe them. You've got to admire them.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to admire it. Whether you think that there can be a little bit more sophistication about the way that they are, who cares? They've built a fabulous business, and it will keep on going. And, the darts is the most profitable side of it, and that's the growth side of things.
Yeah.
Fair play to them, and they got a TV series out of it.
It's a great watch, and the first 2 episodes, our jousts, your joust in particular with Eddie in this very studio, honestly, not to be missed. You would think, on the face of it, Arsenal against Manchester City was not to be missed. It ended up honours even, did it not? Thanks to a late Martinelli equaliser. Starting the game with a host of creative outlets on the bench, though, versus parking the bus for the last half hour. Danny, whose safety first approach was more regrettable, Arteta's or Guardiola's?
I wouldn't say regrettable for either of them. I mean, the backlash on Arteta...
Do you think it was a good game? Did you enjoy watching it?
Yeah, from an intriguing point of view, tactically, because seeing City do what they did, I've not seen before. That was intriguing, and now Arsenal then kept having to probe. But I think the backlash on Arteta's over the top.
Why?
Well, if you try and give it balance and perspective, the top six from the last 2 seasons, they haven't lost to them for 2 seasons up until the Liverpool game. That's incredible in itself. Last season, they lost to Bournemouth twice, West Ham, drew with Everton twice, drew with Brighton twice. Their problem isn't in the big games. So yesterday, the only problem was, I think, people were saying, and I kind of agree, Eze should have been starting. But other than that, it's similar team to that he always plays. I just don't get the backlash. I think Arsenal are going to be up there. They're a good side. Good side.
Oh, there's no doubt they're going to be up there. But I think in order to win a Premier League, you have to have a little bit of art about you. And there was little. And you can make the observation about what team you set up against Atletico Bilbao, but Atletico Bilbao are not Manchester City. And it's one thing, and I have to agree with Danny to some extent and disagree in equal measure. It's one thing where the top sides often cancel one another out. They often play these games out where there's a lot of respect and a lot of balance in the game, and it comes out with either a narrow win for one side or a draw. It's against the opposition that play in a different way that you've got to win leagues. You can actually, I mean, I know there's an argument saying that we've debated it here with Martin O'Neill and Graham Souness that you don't have to beat one another to win the league in the Scottish Premier League. I suspect you probably do. But I watched the game yesterday and I was fundamentally bored. I expected two sides. Whether Man City are changing and more
styles make fights, though, don't they?
Well, yeah, but when you've got the
to a degree,
when you've got the best, apparently the best, or two of the best against the best, and you've got attacking prowess and abundance, you want to see it.
Liverpool Arsenal last year, 2 games were both 2-2, terrific games.
Yeah.
You know, it's sometimes you get games that aren't great.
Did Arsenal start with enough creativity out there, or was the creativity on the bench?
Well, you're always going to get people who say they should have had him starting and ahead of him when you've got such an abundance of talent. There's always going to be someone. If he'd played somebody else, Martinelli instead of Madueke, or started Saka, who's been injured, and put Madueke on the bench, people would be saying, Madueke's playing great, why is he not playing?
So why did he change it at half-time?
Because
was that not him admitting that he got it wrong at the start?
Well, they were chasing the game, so you have to adapt. And he did adapt. And then they dominated the second half even more. And Eze set up the goal with a brilliant... I think Eze should have been starting. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, overall, Arteta's progression with the team, to come from a side that used to get hammered constantly by City and Arsenal, they've conceded 6 against Chelsea, 5 against City, 5 against Liverpool. Between 2017 and 2023... they were getting pumped. 9 times City and Liverpool scored 3+ goals against them. So now they're a side that go up against these top teams and actually are very competitive. Who goes to Liverpool and stops them having a shot on goal?
Nobody denies the evolution of Arsenal. The question is...
You're talking about getting over the line. Well, that is the big question. But he's brought them to this point now where he's been backed. He's got an abundance of talent that he hasn't had before. Strength in depth. Let's judge him at the end of the season.
Do they win the league this year?
I think they've got a hell of a chance.
You think they'll go past Liverpool? Do you?
I wouldn't say they would go past Liverpool. I don't know.
They can't then if they go past Liverpool because Liverpool are likely to be ones.
I don't know who's going to win it. I hope Liverpool win it, but I'm saying that Arsenal have got a hell of a chance.
I think that it's unrecognisable, the Arsenal of 2017, 18 and 19 that were in managed decline post Arsene Wenger, that saw Unai Emery being given a terrible time and the team morphing into something that was very indifferent. The ownership was very indifferent. There was a point at one time where, Stan Kroenke was the billionaire, sort of comfortable with mediocrity. That changed post-COVID. He's been given all amounts of money. You cannot make the case that Arsenal are a good side. You have to make the case now are Arsenal a Premier League winning side, because every other manager that's got this kind of resources, and money is a big part of it, this kind of club, there's only 3 or 4 clubs in England that are considered to be legacy clubs. One of them is Arsenal. If their motivation is to participate and be a top side, then Arteta stays there until he shuffles off his mortal coil. If their motivation is to win something, then there's little excuse.
I agree with that.
Little excuse.
But I don't think now is the time for judgment and the time for criticism.
But that's not how it works, is it?
No, but I think it's exaggerated. I think it's been exaggerated.
Players by managers are judged in the moment.
Well, they always will, because
a player gets put on for 45 minutes, decided that in that 45 minutes he hasn't done enough, and gets the hook, right? So why isn't a manager judged instantly? I don't like it either, but it's the reality.
It is reality, but I think...
38 times. There's only so many times in the season you've got an opportunity to win a game.
Yeah, I think
the question, Danny, is being risk-averse a bad thing in a title race? Is it going to come back to bite Arsenal in the backside?
It depends on your interpretation of risk. I mean, what I'm hearing is that the reason his pragmatism is playing Moreno instead of Eza. That's what I'm hearing. Now, nobody really looks into that. Why did he play Moreno in that position? One, because he's a good player, and also one of his teammates who he's known for years and knows better than anybody is Rodri, who generally dictates games, Ballon d'Or winner.
Yeah.
So maybe he thought, he's the one person in my team who knows this fella best, and I'm going to ask him to do a job on him, and then get us in the game, and we'll bring on who we need when we need. Stopping the best holding midfielder in the world is not a bad game.
But isn't that a fair observation without making it about Arsenal being battered in this conversation, because they're a very good side with a very good manager? Isn't that about worrying about the opposition? Why about let the opposition worry about you? If you spend your time being focused on what the opposition do, you'll do nothing about being wide. Mentality.
I understand that, but if you listen to Pep talk many times about Klopp's Liverpool with Mane, Salah and Firmino and how amazing they are, and how he's been thinking and losing sleep because he wanted to find a plan to be able to beat them.
Okay.
They won the title 4 in 5 years, granted, but the reality is Pep Guardiola loses sleep thinking about Liverpool's front three.
But no one could have accused Man City of not being a side to put it upon the opposition.
Well, do you know what? The other side of this break, we're going to hear from Pep Guardiola.
Of course.
We're going to hear from Pep Guardiola. We're also going to hear from Mikel Arteta, and we also want to hear from the Arsenal fans. 03717 223344. I mean, is being risk averse something that might come back to bite Arsenal and Arteta where they don't want to be bitten? Give us a call on that. 03717 223344. Monday morning, Danny's here.
talkSPORT traffic.
Exeter in Devon, the eastbound A30 looking slow after a breakdown. It's between the Alphington Junction and the A3. Interchange and the A44 the Pear Tree interchange, and in Lincolnshire at Nocton Heath the A15 is partly blocked both.
Monday morning, Monday, September the 22nd. Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy live on talkSPORT. We're coming to you live on your TV as well. There's one of many messages coming in. What an absolute treat having Danny in somewhat unexpectedly on a Monday morning. I love it when he's on a Wednesday. Now we've got him on a Monday, says Steve in Newcastle. Steve, I absolutely agree with Steve. That. We love the man Keown, but we love the man Murphy, and a lot to get through. So it was a goal apiece between Arsenal and Manchester City. Okay, we're agreed on that. How could we not be? That was the result. But when you look about who started for Arsenal and who didn't, maybe more appropriately, is being risk averse a bad thing in a title race? Might it come back to bite Arsenal in the beam end? But Arteta, post-match, refuted the idea he was too cautious.
Not too easy to say that. I think it's very clear what we wanted to do. Very well, we started the game. I think we completely dominated. I think after they scoring the goal without doing absolutely nothing before that, we were a bit shaky for 5 or 7 minutes, and after that we still got grip of the game again and start to dominate it. And in the second half it was a continuation of that with one different player and then with 2 or 3 different players.
Danny, you kind of go with that, don't you? You'd say that's harsh to criticise Arsenal on the strength of what you saw yesterday off the back of it.
I don't. There's always room for some criticism, but I think it's gone overboard. I think it's inflated to say that
who's gone overboard?
They're not creative. The people I've heard on phone-ins, reading articles. It's basically, if Ezra had started and it had ended 1-1, this wouldn't have been as... This is why. It's because he played 3 midfielders rather than 2 and a 1. So for years it's been Odegaard as a 10. And everyone felt that now he wasn't fit, Ezra should go in that role. And part of me thinks he should have, because he's such a talent and he can open you up from anywhere. We saw that with the pack.
But I think there's a feeling, Danny, amongst Arsenal fans, certainly from what I'm seeing in front of me this morning, so many messages coming in. It's unbelievable the response this show gets, and we're delighted about it. The feeling amongst many Arsenal fans is that 45 minutes were wasted.
The first 45.
And City were there to be got at. That's the impression I'm getting from Arsenal fans. There's Jeremy, there's Kezi, there's many of them getting in touch. Kezi's a Newcastle fan. He's trying to tell me something about what Newcastle were up to. But there's Tommy, there's Wolf saying exactly the same thing. City were there to be got at.
Well, if they'd have gone really after them, there's a chance playing against the best forward in the world and speedy wingers like Dogge that you'd have been more than 1 down. As it was, the first half was 2 good teams trying to feel each other out, and that happens in many big games. It's like when Arsenal went to Liverpool. It was a game decided on a wonder strike from Szoboszlai. If Arsenal had gone after Liverpool, hell and leather, the first 20, 30 minutes, they could have been done. You're not talking about playing lower league opposition or even bottom of the Prem. You're talking about Manchester City and Liverpool games here.
Yeah.
You're playing the 2 most successful teams in the last 6 or 7 years in the Premier League and expecting Arsenal to run all over them. Football's not like that. You're playing against some of the best players in Europe.
I get that. We've spoken about Arsenal's evolution, and of that there is no doubt. They're changing, they're improving, they're improving. The big question is, will they win it this season? That has to be the question.
They've got a hell of a chance. They're as well prepared as they've ever been. Now, one thing I would say, when you watch football, and it's not just Arsenal, lots of teams are guilty of it. I think Chelsea as well, fans I've heard talk about it. There is a lot of recycling the ball. So who's taking more risks? Could Arsenal take more risk when they've got the ball and give up possession more? Yes, I think that's fair.
Okay.
It's a fair assessment.
Right, this risk-averse thing.
The problem is if you do that too often against good quality opposition, the momentum of the game changes because they end up with the ball more and you end up on the back foot.
Yeah.
I think the problem you've got for a lot of the big managers now, including Arteta, is when you've got so many talented players and you want to see all your attack. Of course, fans want to see creativity on the pitch. It's finding the balance in whichever game you're up against. And I think as the season goes on, you will see Arsenal be very, very good in creative terms because they've got so many good players. I wouldn't worry about it.
But the interesting thing is, if you close your eyes and you accept Danny's argument at face value, then you accept it at face value. But Man City are a side that's no longer the Man City of years gone past. They're a side that can be beaten, as has been shown this season on a couple of occasions. In the game against Liverpool, Liverpool are not on it at this moment in time in the way that they were so more coherent this time last year. So if you look at the game at Anfield and you look at the first 45 minutes and you assess the opposition that you're watching, you change at half-time. You don't wait until 60, 70 minutes into the game, when potentially the game is starting to change direction. You start laying. So the difference is, whilst you make the argument Liverpool, Man City, you go, well, actually, are Man City the team? No, they're not the same team as they were a couple of years ago. So comparing what Man City might have been like against what Man City are like now, and then saying, well, actually, you have to factor that into the equation, they're not the same side.
Right.
Hence the reasons why they get beat.
I'm glad you've taken us to Man City. I'm glad you've taken us there. Incidentally, Arsenal fans, you are phoning in massive numbers. Now, we're going to deal with as many calls as we can very shortly. 03717 223344. Simon rightly has steered us towards Manchester City, and it's a good time to look at it, because Manchester City, are we seeing a different evolution of Manchester City this season? How would you describe it? Is it better, this perceived pragmatic approach? This was Pep.
They were better, and we were incredibly tired. So sometimes the people don't realize. So the game against Napoli, Champions League, was so emotional. And after that recovery day, and they asked you have to wait 4 or 5 hours, because maybe you don't know, you live in London, you have that privilege, but the people who live in the northeast, so we have 4 or 5 hours to arrive into London, and it's more fatigue and everything. So, and guys, the team, like they fought last 2 Premier Leagues to win it, and the right semi-final Champions League, and not just Man City invest money, they did it as well, and it's so tough.
I mean, Simon, if you'd seen this fella's reaction during that, then I've got a rough idea what's coming. So believe me, this will be interesting. Guardiola's fatigue complaints, are they genuine?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was going to ask Danny. I mean, is the game more emotional and more physically demanding now than it was all these years ago? Because I have to listen to that. And of course I admire Pep Guardiola. Of course I admire the unique achievements and the things that he's done. And by the way, Donnarumma is some goalkeeper, isn't he? Some goalkeeper negates Arsenal's dead balls left, right and centre, didn't he? No worry about those corners. But I look at it and go, well, what is that about? Is this what we have to listen to? Which is the modern day manager insulating players from everything by simply saying the emotions of the game. Well, were the European nights back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s and 2010s more challenging than they are now? Is the physicality of the game more challenging? Why do you have to listen to this old fanny?
I found that a strange response. My thinking, I haven't seen any of his interviews after, but I would have said that after losing to Brighton, they went 1-0 up at Brighton, completely dominant, still going at them, and got done on the counter twice and lost. They got done by Spurs on a couple of great counter-attacks. Spurs very clever and cute and breaking on them. And he's probably gone, do you know what, this ain't happening again. That would have been a fairer argument. As for the physical side, didn't Arsenal have to travel to Spain and play there? They didn't look tired.
A couple of days earlier.
Oh, you've only got 25 internationals in your squad as well. It's like ridiculous. Come on.
I mean, what about parking the bus for the last half hour?
Well, that's
what we're seeing in City.
I was really surprised, but when I've thought about it afterwards and this morning, because of that Brighton game, I think that was in the back of his mind. So I kind of get it. The irony was, when it went 1-1, City started bombing forward again. If they were tired, maybe that was the reason.
Were you fatigued in September playing for Liverpool?
I never felt fatigued.
So what's he on about here?
I might have looked it, but I didn't feel it.
Simon's right. When Pep speaks, we listen. And we have to, in view of what the man's achieved. Fatigue.
Well, Napoli had a sending off after in the first half. They played against 10 men for 70-odd minutes. It was the most comfortable Champions League night you're ever going to get.
Let's get to it. So many calls coming in. We'll address them on the other side of the 10:30 bulletin. I mean, on Arsenal, is being risk-averse a bad thing in a title race? Is it going to come back and bite you in the beam end, Arsenal fans? And what about Pep there? Fatigue is one thing, but are we seeing a different evolution of Manchester City this season? How would you describe it? Is it better? City fans, let's hear from you. 03717 223344. Monday morning. Oh yeah, Danny's with us. What a text. So many texts and tweets coming in. There's Neil the Villa fan. Danny's great. Danny's great. Surprisingly intelligent. Danny's great. You're surprisingly intelligent.
Well, I suppose the perception is always that us footballers, working class lads, aren't the brightest, which is generally true.
Not with you, Dan. Not with you, mate. A lot to get through. Villa fans want to get in touch about, more specifically, what Unai Emery said about the Villa team at the weekend. Lazy. The lazy. Lazy here, lazy there. That seems to be the watchword with Unai Emery. And fan protests north and south of the border up in Glasgow before they played Hibs in the League Cup. Rangers fans protesting. Down here, West Ham fans protesting. We're going to be hearing from one of the West Ham spokesmen who is going to come on and join us on a Monday morning with Simon and Danny. In the meantime, Arsenal. What did we see in Arsenal? And one of the big questions being asked about Mikel Arteta, and many people might think this is a tough question and maybe a bit harsh, but when you see them draw yesterday against Manchester City, might it be that element that has got Arsenal so close to the title? Is it the very same element that is stopping them from getting over the line? Is that element Arteta himself? 03717 223344. Dave's a big Arsenal fan who's first up. Dave, good morning. What do you want to say, mate?
Good morning, guys. I just
morning.
want to spin it in a different direction.
Yeah.
Is that 5 points dropped or 1 point gained? Because if you're going for a title and you're playing Liverpool this early in the season, that, by the way, at the time wasn't firing on all cylinders, he missed an opportunity there. He's now playing Man City. We're the home team. The emphasis is on us to go and beat that team. We've got to play them at the Etihad yet. And they would have improved by the time we play them at the Etihad. So that's another missed opportunity. This is nothing new from this manager. He does it time and time again. We was told that we was going to find the missing jigsaw, the number 9. We needed a number 9. All he needs is a number 9. All we need is a striker. We get a striker. The guy's starved. He's not getting fed. There's no creativity. He's bang average. He looks bang average. No creativity in the team. We've got towels down the touchline for players to wipe the ball to launch in long throw-ins. £1 billion spent, and we look like Stoke City. This manager is an absolute joke. He's nicking £15 million off of this football club. He spent over 1 point...
Dave, a joke? A joke?
And he's
Some would say you were a joke before Arteta came on the scene.
He's 6 years... No, we wasn't a joke before Arteta came into the team.
You were.
We wasn't a joke. We was... If he'd have had the money spent that Arteta's had, then he would have turned it around. This guy is getting away with murder, and he's getting excuse after excuse after excuse. What is the narrative now? Oh, we put Pep on the back foot, and it's the first time he's had the least amount of possession in a game. I'm not interested in that. He had the opportunity to get 3 points off of a Man City team.
I think your point regarding the home game against City, first half, the intensity and really going after them, there's some validity in that. I think if you think that any team can go to Anfield, even if they're not firing all cylinders, and go after them and get... I'm not having that at all, because Liverpool would have torn you apart if you'd have left yourselves wide open. So I understand the home game. The reality is Arsenal are now as competitive as ever been, and now he's been given the funding and the squad to compete on every level. If he fails the end of this season, a lot of his arguments will be right.
And you think they will fail come the end of the season, Dave, because of the very reasons you spelt out?
Listen, any football manager with a team that we had last season would have won a trophy. Most football managers, you give that team to Glasner, you give that team to any manager, and they would have won the trophy. He's now improved the team. He pays all that money for Eze. He prizes Eze away from Crystal Palace. He gives him all the plum coming down the tunnel at Leeds and all the crowd cheering and everything else. And in the 2 biggest games of the season, he benches him.
Yeah, the first one he'd only just signed, hadn't he? A couple of days before.
Going back on the Liverpool game, Danny, I can understand it's a tough place to go at any time of the year. I understand that. But at least give the players the opportunity to try and win the game. If we go at Liverpool and we lose and we've peppered their goal and your goalkeeper has made some brilliant saves and we've had created chances and everything else and we come out losing, I'll hold my hands up and go, right, OK, fair enough.
But you did just say when it's the home team. When Liverpool played at home to Arsenal, you could argue, like you just did against City, that it's Liverpool who have to set the tone and go after you because it's an opportunity. Liverpool didn't have a shot on target in the first half, even though they were trying to attack you. I mean, that's credit to you guys. It was both teams cancelled each other out. I don't think it's fair to just say Arsenal.
Right. I tell you what, Dave, you've spelt it out from your end. Do me a favour and stay in the line. Let's see if Elton, the Arsenal fan, agrees with you. Elton, good morning.
Good morning, guys. A pleasure to talk to you.
Hi, Elton.
Morning.
Good morning. What did we see? What are we seeing in Arsenal? Was it a lost opportunity yesterday?
I don't understand what the previous caller is talking about. I think we are a great team. We put City on the back foot. We lost a game against Liverpool to a wonder goal. It wasn't. Liverpool didn't outplay us. I don't understand what this guy is watching. I really don't understand at all. I thought we played awesome yesterday. Pep Guardiola has never played that way. I genuinely don't understand at all. It was a great game. Okay, I would have said that Eze should have started yesterday, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I thought we played really well. I don't understand. This is City we're talking about. This is City with
Elton. Exactly. Simon's going to come in a second. Dave, fellow Arsenal fan there, but he's saying you guys were awesome yesterday.
Listen. I'm not. Listen. What I'm saying is that this is not the first time this manager has set up in that way, right? And he's comparing how he played against Bilbao to how he's going to play at home against Man City.
Yeah, that's fair.
The alarm bells are ringing again. This manager cannot get us over the line. He's had a handful of opportunities. He chokes in big games. He done it against PSG. If that's a Champions League first leg knockout, right, and he sets up like that, and we draw 1-1, and we've got to go away from home to get a result, we're out the competition.
Okay, Dave, listen, many good points here. Before Simon comes in, Michael, you've been waiting. What do you want to say? Good morning.
Morning, boys. First of all, first time caller, I just want to say, love the show. It's fantastic. Got a couple of quick points.
Thank you.
First point, agree with the previous caller. Arteta is a good manager, but I think after 4 or 5 years, we can blatantly see he's not the guy who's going to get us over the line. And I just wanted a quick little point about Danny's objectivity or potential lack of it. I think, Danny, as a former Liverpool alum, I think it suits you for us to have a manager who clearly isn't good enough to get over the line, considering we have the best squad in the league this season. And I think it requires just to be a bit more honest about what we have or what we don't have, because clearly we've got the squad, but we just don't have the manager.
Danny, can you be a bit more honest, please?
I understand. I understand your view, but it's wrong. I actually think they're a terrific side, and I think they're Liverpool's biggest competitor this season by a long way. The problem is this. So if an Arsenal fan comes on and says Arteta can't get us over the line, right, fine. Who are you going to get to come in and change the style to a way that gets you over the line? Who can do that?
Well,
I'll tell you what will happen, Jim.
Go on.
The wish might come true. And what will happen is they'll become more open and more easy to play against. And then all of a sudden, we've lost our defensive stability, we've lost our power, and we're all over the place.
Your team did it?
Klopp did it in a... Yeah.
No, would you enjoy Liverpool if they played the way Arteta's Arsenal are playing?
I enjoy watching Liverpool, Arsenal, all the good teams because they've got great players. It's like, you mean in terms of style? Liverpool are similar to Arsenal the way they play.
Michael, if Slot was in the Arsenal home technical area, would Arsenal be playing that the way they played yesterday?
Absolutely not. And boys, I'm not even talking about us getting one of the top dogs like a Flick or an Enrique or a Slot. If you gave Oliver Glasner that squad, look what he just did with Crystal Palace. Look what he's doing to them now. Any half-decent manager with the players we have would get more out of this team. I mean, Stevie Wonder could have seen yesterday Eze should have been starting. Martinelli should have been playing. This isn't rocket science. Our manager is blatantly holding back this team. And until we get a proper manager who can get the best, because I can't think of any elite club in Europe, Barca, Bayern, Real Madrid, who would tolerate 5 years without a trophy when he's
Michael,
blatantly holding the team
thanks
back?
for the call.
Just a quick, Jim, I've got to say, just a quick one.
Go on.
He's using Glasner. Glasner is a pragmatic manager, set up a formation to play counter-attack football brilliantly. You couldn't do that at Arsenal.
He's working with what he's got.
But then he'd change them, wouldn't he, at Arsenal, to a degree? But we don't know that. That's just a wild stab in the dark.
We've heard from two strong-minded Arsenal fans here, Dave and then Michael. Simon, is the very element that's stopping Arsenal from getting over the line Arteta himself?
Well, I'm disinclined 5-6 games into the season to make the overall judgment. You've got a new set of players coming in there. Gyökeres is yet to fit into a framework that's been played a certain way for a number of years and they're adjusting to it. By the way, I don't think Arteta spent the entire time telling everyone that he needed a number 9. Everyone else spent the entire time telling Arteta that he needed a number 9. And he's gone and got a number 9 because the Havertz experiment has worked and not worked in equal measure. I mean, Danny talks about who would you get in place to win a Premier League. Well, Liverpool just did it. They took Arne Slot in to win the Premier League that Jurgen Klopp only won once in his 7 or 8 years at Liverpool. So it can be achieved if you've got the right mix and the right manager, and if you've got the right players in the dressing room, you've got an opportunity. But I think you have to judge Arteta at the end of this season.
Agreed.
And at the end of this season, if they've come up short again, then everyone can fill their boots.
Yep, I agree with that.
Look at these protests down here and north of the border. That's coming next. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy, live in talkSPORT with Salco, where the trade goes. Good morning, everybody. Monday morning. Incredibly, Monday, September the 22nd. We're flying through the month. Where's it gone? Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy were live on talkSPORT. Just poring over some of the results and the implications of those results at the weekend in the Premier League specifically. West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 2. So West Ham lost again. Goes from bad to worse. Cannot win a game at home to save their lives, can they? A 2-1 defeat to Crystal Palace, 4 losses and 5 for West Ham this season under Graham Potter. Is Potter clinging on? And no more than that. It's now 8 Premier League games without a home win. Crystal Palace have now won the same amount of games at the London Stadium this calendar year as West Ham have. But before the game, as many as 3,000 West Ham fans decided to protest, to show their anger. Not towards the players, but more specifically towards the ownership. And I'm delighted to say West Ham fan and host of West Ham Fan TV, Dan Lawless, joins us live this morning. Dan, good morning. Am I right? Was about 3,000 showed up?
Yeah. There was about 3,000 fans showed up. I was one of them. It was a really good protest, very successful, very peaceful. And it just felt good. It felt like the old West Ham again, to be around passionate fans who love the club and who want positive change. So, it was a good protest.
So that do this for me. Outline the specific reasons for the protest.
So when it comes to the protest, I think it's just become the breaking point. Fans have had enough of David Sullivan and want a change. He cannot be running the football club anymore, right? And the club is in decline. It's dying, as far as I'm concerned. We've had thousands and thousands of fans walk away from the stadium, don't want to go anymore, falling out of love with the club. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse unless something changes. And David Sullivan is not fit to run the club. Now, the way I look at it, there's 2 outcomes, right? Best case scenario, he sells up. That's what we want. We all want him to sell up and we want new ownership. However, and I know Simon will come in and say, well, it's unrealistic or whatever. If he is staying, at the very least, someone else has to run the football club and you're just the money. There needs to be a CEO, someone like that comes in and understands football to run the club. He is ill-equipped to run this football club.
Well, I tell you what, why not engage directly with Simon? You've put that out there.
Well, I don't disagree with the idea that someone else should be running the football side. I've never been a great admirer of David's football acumen. Back in the day when I had Trevor Francis used to say that David Sullivan's way of buying a player was looking at the Rothmans guide. And so I entirely understand. But if David Sullivan is the money in the room, and you accept that he's the money in the room, whatever money you think that is, right, then bring a CEO in by all means, and he will defer to the money. And so the only way you will change the direction of travel, if that's what you really think that you need to do, starting from the fact that Sullivan did 2 things in my view that were wrong. One, he didn't move the stadium in a way that he could have moved it and made it more palatable to you guys. And 2, he opened his mouth and said, I'm going to make you a top 6 side, and then sold people like Dimitri Payet and never deployed the money and bought the kid in that from Norwich, the right winger from Norwich, Robert Snodgrass, yeah, and made those sort of things. And I get the reasons why. But the reality of it is that what I made an observation last week is not the fact that fans should not be able to protest. Of course you should be able to have your opinion. It's the balance of how far you go with that opinion. And when I saw people issuing ultimatums to the Rangers board saying, unless you get rid of the CEO now, unless you get rid of the manager now, we're going to do this. I think that's pushing it too far, but I don't deny the right for the most important part of the football framework, which is the fans and their emotion, to have their opinion. But when it comes down to it, how are you really going to change it?
So that's the question, Dan. How actually are you going to change it?
Well, listen, I think the protest is a really good start. And I know Sullivan has a very fragile ego and it hurts him. I know that because he comes out in the media time and time again, sometimes through you, Jim, and has to defend himself. And the way I look at it is with the protest, we could look at it and say to Newcastle fans, well, maybe they should have just shut up and just been happy with Mike Ashley and not protested. When you go and look at the Everton fans, maybe they should have been just happy with Mashiri. What about Villa fans with their owner previously? They all wanted change and they got change. This idea that we should be careful what we wish for because of what happened to Birmingham nearly 20 years ago is ridiculous. We have the fit and proper owners checks now. What happened to Birmingham is very unlikely to happen. Not to say it's impossible, but just because that happened to them doesn't mean we shouldn't try and affect change. Now, I believe that there is an appetite for Sullivan to sell. right? I've heard there's an appetite. However, he's pricing the club way beyond what any reasonable person would buy for it. That's like 800 million. We're not worth that. We don't own our stadium. And so to me, yeah, we can talk about someone owning the football operations. For me, he has to go.
I see where you're going with that, Dan. You're looking at the likes of Newcastle and you think, Ashley's gone, the Saudis are in. We'd love that. You're looking at the likes of Everton. Farhad's gone, the Friedkin Group's in. We'd love that. That's what you're doing. You're looking at what's going on elsewhere and you think, we've got to get into a situation like that.
Yeah. What every other club, when I look at it, has what we don't have. Everton moved stadiums. They have a purpose-built football stadium.
Yeah.
So did Tottenham. He came in with the intention of moving us out of our home to rent an athletic stadium that's not fit for purpose.
Well, same as Man City then. So Man City were fortunate enough, and there was a whole raft of... I find myself in a terrible position because I don't want to defend David Sullivan. I think it's well established my views on him, but it's not just as straightforward as you'd like to make it out. Most of the football clubs in London, if they got an opportunity to have taken that stadium, they would have taken that stadium.
Would you have?
Yeah, but I would have bedded it in properly with the fans. I wouldn't have allowed this crap to go on in terms.
You would have taken Palace from
No. If the National Sports Centre at Crystal Palace, the National Sports Centre was there available to me in the same sort of facility, I would have done it. I wouldn't have taken Crystal East London. No. But you look at
wait, you would have moved Palace, Simon, if say that same stadium was in South London, right? And exactly how it is, not built for football. Remember, Seb Coe made sure, he said, I do not want it to be built for football. You would have moved out of Selhurst Park into that soulless...
Yeah, but Sebastian Coe doesn't own the stadium. The London Development Federation does.
No,
so with due
was-
respect to what it was built for.
Yeah.
So what happened?
He had an influence.
I agreed.
And his point is it was an athletic stadium.
So what was the Commonwealth Stadium in Manchester then? When Man City moved from Main Road to
They've
Manchester?
adapted it.
Well, yeah, that's my point. That's what I would have potentially done with these guys. I would have found a bridge and made that bridge more palatable for everyone to walk across, so that I didn't have to listen to this particular noise.
Even I, as a neutral, when I go and do games and do co-con and stuff, going to West Ham is the poorest one in terms of atmosphere and intensity. It's like it doesn't feel like you're.
And you're so far from the playing area. And the fans have a very difficult view of what they want to watch.
Just out of curiosity, do you see, and I'm playing devil's advocate for the purpose of this conversation, because I'm loath to see, I don't know what you think, I'm loath to see every single football club in this country owned by overseas investment with the motivations that are not about football. They're about something they want in return from it, either financial gain or recognition or credibility for a nation-state investment. Is this really what you want for your club? You want it to be owned by some faceless overseas entity that somewhere along the line will not please you? Is that the alternative? Anybody but Sullivan?
Well, I'm getting to the point where it's anyone but Sullivan. I've not necessarily got an appetite where it has to be an overseas entity. But I look at David Sullivan and what makes him any different, except he doesn't have the funds. He doesn't have the best interest of the club at heart. He has his best interest at heart. Because tell me how moving to the stadium has benefited West Ham and not just David Sullivan. You'll bring up the Conference League trophy. I'll bring
up your ticket.
Okay,
I'll bring up your ticket pricing because your ticket pricing is very competitive. By the way, when you talk about your club not being worth a certain amount of money, Palace's value is 600 million quid. Do you think Palace were a bigger club than you?
Well, Everton went for cheaper. Everton went for cheaper than 800 million. You own your ground.
Distressed asset. Oh yeah, come off it. I mean, we both know that Selhurst Park is no Palace, is it? I was there for 10 years, so I know what I'm talking about.
Still a great spot.
It's still land.
Okay, so what's land worth then? So is it a hotel building complex that you want then? It's the football team in the Premier League. The only value that West Ham has a significant brand and Newcastle has a significant brand is being in the Premier League. If Newcastle were languishing in the Championship, no one would have bought them for 300 million quid. It's the value of the Premier League.
And we're barely in the Premier League thanks to David Sullivan's ownership, Simon.
Do you think you're going to stay up with what you've got? Do you think you're going to stay up?
Listen, I think we have players there to keep this club up. I think there's an 11 there that's good enough to stay up. However, I just look at the manager currently. I don't think he knows what he's doing. I think he's kind of lost in terms of finding an alternative. I don't think he's the manager you want when your back's against the wall.
So Dan, to finish with,
and I've heard him say that.
Do you want Potter out and then the club sold?
Well, yeah. Ultimately, that's the two outcomes.
Would you be saying that if you were played 5-1-5? Of
course not.
Yeah, well, when I look at it, it's not just played. Yeah, if we played 5-1-5, would I want the club sold? Is that what you was asking? So I didn't hear the full
Both
question.
of these things. Do you have faith in Potter, regardless of recent results? Have they been doing reasonably well? Would you back him, or would you still want to move on? And do you want
Yeah,
the club
I
sold
don't-
no matter what?
Yeah, listen, I don't have faith in Potter based on some of his decision making in games. I want the club sold no matter what, because for me, the big sticking point has been the move to the stadium, and what they've done is unforgivable. I just did a video in June why I gave up my season ticket. I've walked away from the stadium. I had hundreds and hundreds of comments from fans, heartbreaking comments, people going since the 50s, 60s, 70s that walked away from West Ham.
Okay.
29,000, it was reported, season ticket holders walked away as of February.
Okay,
now
Dan.
we're getting to Upton Park capacity, have left West Ham. It's not the same. We've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United fans over there, week in, week out. It is unforgivable.
It's a sad state of affairs, Dan. Dan Lawless, thank you for joining us. West Ham fan, of course, and host of West Ham Fan TV, no longer a season ticket holder, as he said. We'll look at more of that after this.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
It's 11:05. Good morning. Here are your sports headlines. And if Arteta had the handbrake on yesterday at the Emirates, then Pep Jose Guardiola had a clamp on his vehicle. Here's Ali McCoist.
I was fascinated by that game yesterday, Jeff. I really was. The talking point's not Arteta this morning, right? It is a talking point, but it's not the talking point. The talking point has to be the way Guardiola went about that game.
Pep's side had just 32% possession, which is the lowest ever in a Premier League game for his team. Arteta's decision not to use any of his flair until the second half has been met with incredulity by plenty, but Danny Murphy says no one's really examining the reasons why he picked Marino over Eze.
One, because he's a good player, and also one of his teammates who he's known for years and knows better than anybody is Rodri, who generally dictates games, Ballon d'Or winner.
Yeah.
So maybe he thought, he's the one person in my team who knows this fella best, and I'm going to ask him to do a job on him, and then get us in the game, and we'll bring on who we need when we need.
Meanwhile, after Villa extended their winless run this season, Troy Deeney says he's concerned by the apparent lack of effort from Ollie Watkins.
As a striker, you can't always guarantee you're going to score, but you can guarantee you put yourself about and you give the opposition something to think about. At this moment in time, he just looks off it. He looks comfortable.
And after a first World Championships without a gold medal since 2003 for Team GB's track and field athletes, our correspondent Michael Waddock explains why he thinks there should be no excuses.
I think when you put £20.45 million of taxpayer, lottery payers' money into a sport, you are entitled to ask questions. People were talking about the conditions being so hot and humid. Athletes now, in receipt of this funding, they should prepare for these conditions.
There's more on talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The government says Hamas will not benefit from them recognising Palestine, and Gatwick Airport's second runway could create thousands of jobs. That's according to the Chancellor. More news at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Come rain or shine, wherever and whenever suits you with our mobile tyre fitting service. Now that will have you driving away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Plenty of sunshine today, with most places staying dry. A few coastal showers are in play. Temperatures below average.
Good morning, everybody. Monday morning, Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy. We're live on talkSPORT, also coming to you live on every TV imaginable: Samsung, LG, Fire TV, Apple TV, Chromecast, Android, Google TV, even Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch a show, you can do that. And so many of you are doing it, and thanks to you for doing just that, because we're thrilled at the reaction this show gets every morning between 10 and 1 live on talkSPORT. Courtesy of Selco, it's where the trade goes. We're going to be talking about protests in Glasgow towards the chief executive there, Patrick Stewart, at Rangers, and the manager, Russell Martin, even although straight after that, Rangers went out and put Hibs out of the League Cup up there. We were talking just as we hit the 11 o'clock break about the protests some 3,000 West Ham fans turned up to voice their opinion, to voice their anger at the current ownership. The owner being, of course, David Sullivan, Karen Brady, and the rest. And we were in the company of Dan Lawless of West Ham Fan TV, host of West Ham Fan TV, and is a former season ticket holder himself. So disillusioned that he's tossed his season ticket in the bin. It's not for him. The London Stadium, very much not for him. Simon, I'm looking here in the monitor in front of me. Conal Fitzpatrick. Thank you, Conal, for the pictures you have sent in. Danny, you were talking about when you work at the London Stadium, the atmosphere isn't the best. And I was chirping in with, yeah, you're miles from the playing surface. Conal's pictures there show the West Ham fans are indeed watching football in an athletic stadium. There's some considerable distance from the playing surface. That's just one of the grievances, Simon. What you threw into the mix there was that you would have done what Sullivan didn't do. Yes, you might have moved to the London Stadium, but you would have done something about the configuration of that stadium, the way it's set up, and to make it more viewer-friendly for the support.
You just take the argument away, don't you? And it's curious, you have to understand why they wouldn't do that. Because if they've got the proceeds of selling the Ballon for whatever they got for that. They've moved into a stadium that they seem to have had very little cost implication behind and pay a very small rent in relation to the turnover that they achieved from it for having 22,000 more than they had at Upton Park. You would think that the easiest thing to do was to disarm them by creating... There'd still be complaints. There'd still be an issue. But there would be less of an opportunity for the fans to make it about this particular issue. But it's always been about this issue. This is the fruit of that particular poison tree. Whatever happens afterwards, doesn't matter what they do, the moment it goes off the rails for a very... It's like Benitez going in at Everton. Everyone knew that the moment he lost a couple of games, Everton fans were going to be on him because he was Liverpool manager.
I suppose the only contradiction to it, and myself really, is that there have been some times where they've had some good results there and it's been bouncing on the odd occasion.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
and it feels fine. But generally, it's a difficult one to get going, that place.
It is. And when it's not going well in the field of play, then it really gets their backs up. And it's not going well in the field of play. I hinted at this. It's now 8 Premier League games without a home win. The club's last home win came against Leicester in February of this year. It's one of 2 wins this calendar year at home in the league. The other was against Fulham. Crystal Palace, as I mentioned, have now won the same amount of games at the London Stadium this calendar year as West Ham have done as well. Not surprisingly, Graham Potter is up against it. Is he going to survive? Well, time will tell on that one. But he thinks the people at the top are still with him.
Yeah, I mean, I've no reason to think not, but I also understand the environment. I also understand the results. But I have no complaints at all with the support that we've had and the support from the supporters, from everybody at the club, really.
Danny, on the playing side, should he be getting more from what he's got?
Yeah. They've got some quality, especially in high up areas of the pitch. And one of the really poor number, the stats surrounding their creativity, chances created and all that. We had a look on Saturday night match today, comparing it to Lopetegui's time in terms of creativity and chances, etc. And he's down on that, which, Lopetegui's numbers got him sacked. And Potter's are lower. Not just in terms of points as well, but in terms of creativity and chance. Sometimes, you have a bad spell with set plays because they've been horrendous this season on set plays, which is so unlike West Ham, especially the team under Moisey, because they were really good at them.
Yeah.
And that can happen. But at least if at the other end of the pitch, you're giving the fans something. There's some chances, you're having a go and you're in the games. It's just ponderous at times. There's a lack of confidence. Bowen's always a threat, of course. But generally, when you watch them play, you never feel like they're particularly looking like they're going to score many goals.
Yeah.
And that ultimately is what kills you.
And Simon, Danny curiously mentioned David Moyes. Next for West Ham, a week
Everton
tonight.
away, yeah.
Everton away.
I'm going.
It's live in talkSPORT. You're going to it.
We can't bring David Moyes into the conversation because we listened endlessly and repeatedly to West Ham fans saying they were sick to the back teeth of the way that David Moyes played football.
No, we're not bringing him in terms of relevance of this. But
No, not in that sense. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking West Ham played 5-1-1. That ain't going to change anytime soon, I don't think. I wonder where they'll be at the turn of the year.
Well, and
under whom?
I don't suppose if it continues in this vein that Potter will be there steering it. And the question is, does it put aside David Sullivan, the distaste for the ownership? Is the current manager doing enough of a good job over the period of time that he's been there? If the answer is no, then put aside the issue of the rancor with the stadium and whether you like your owner in the long game, because that ain't going to get fixed anytime soon. Even if Sullivan decided he wanted to sell tomorrow, it'll take 6 months to get a deal done. So you've got to deal with the here and now. In the here and now, does Graham Potter get you out of the problem that Graham Potter's put you in? And is it in part Graham Potter that's done that because they've had players that have been sold? Some of their best players have gone, like Kudus, that was an attacking option that wasn't being deployed previously by people like David Moyes in the way that people wanted to see him deploy him. That's why people got fed up with the style of play, because they now realise that David had options to play flamboyant football and he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that was fair.
Does he survive this in the short term, Potter?
I don't know. I'm not a fan of Graham Potter's. I think he did a decent job. I think he did a decent job at Brighton and built them a nice platform. I think he was weak at Chelsea. And whether he sat around for 18 months ruminating on which job he was going to take, or he sat there waiting for the compensation that he got from his dismissal to be filed down before he took a job, I don't know. But right now, he doesn't look like he knows how to find the problems, to find a solution. He knows what the problems are. He can't find the solutions to them.
He's trying. What he's trying to do is create a more controlled style of football where they have better possession and play better football. The reality is you need really competent players, high-level players, to do that on a regular basis. West Ham's best chance of getting some good wins and being more successful than they are at the minute is going back to being more pragmatic, which the fans didn't really want. You playing more counter-attack, being harder to beat, because they are too easy to score against and play against at the moment.
So many West Ham fans getting in touch. There's Ash. Issue with Sullivan is quite simple. He's stuck in his ways. The Premier League has changed and evolved. He continually dips his hand in his transfer business pocket, but they sign players who are not fit for purpose in the current day Premier League. So a protest there and a big protest in Glasgow ahead of Rangers Cup game against Hibs. Talk about that next. Jim White and Simon Jordan alongside Danny Murphy. We're talking about fan protests, and we're largely impressed, incidentally, by Dan Loss, the West Ham fan who joined us a short time ago. So they'll continue their protest because they want Sullivan and the ownership out of there. Whether Potter lasts is another matter. What's the situation in Glasgow with one of the giants there, Rangers? Rangers claimed a 2-0 Premier Sports Cup quarter-final win over Hibs at the weekend, the League Cup in old money. But nonetheless, many Rangers fans protested against Russell Martin and the chief executive Patrick Stewart outside the stadium before the game and also at the start of the match. Many fans voted with their feet and chose to stay away from the ground. During the game, posters showing a red diagonal line through photographs of Martin and Stewart were present in all 4 stands. Going into the match, though, Russell Martin spoke, and he spoke about perspective.
That's the personal bit that is difficult because people worry about you, and I think they read. Well, I don't read any of it, so they do because they want to feel like some connection with it because I'm a long way away from them. So, but I think last week is a lot of perspective. Like I wasn't very well. I got out of bed on Thursday and Friday to take the session and went back to bed. I had a chest infection all week. My daughter's been in hospital for 3 nights this week, but it's not like that gives you perspective because it's difficult seeing your kids poorly and all that stuff. But like I read a few things my mum sent me saying how unwell I looked or beaten up after the game. It's because I'd been in bed all week. I wanted to sit down at 60 minutes, but I felt I couldn't because I was getting shouted at by a lot of people and it would have looked a certain way. So you have to be aware of all of that. But honestly, for us, you have to accept it. Coming to a club like this, I knew the intensity of it was part of the excitement and the challenge of coming here and choosing this job over others. So if you want to enjoy it when it's going well, you have to accept it when it's not as well. So for us, fine. For the families, they have to be used to it because I want to be a manager for a very, very long time. So they're just going to have to find a way to deal with it.
So he wants to be a manager for a long time, and Simon, he wants to manage Rangers, and he wants to manage a successful Rangers quite clearly. I was in touch with Russell last night, and he's well aware of it. Of course he is. He's not stupid. But unless results change, this is going to carry on, isn't it? And the fact of the matter is, and Russell well knows it, Rangers, a giant in the world of football, certainly in my eyes. I grew up with the old firm. Celtic, a giant. Rangers, a giant. So they put Hibs out of the League Cup, Simon, but in the league, Rangers are second bottom of the Scottish Premiership table, 9 points behind Celtic and Hearts. And we're coming towards the September. So if he can make a dent on that, he might just survive. Is that the simplest way to look at it?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, he can't keep on losing or drawing games in the Scottish Premier League. I mean, you've had some decent results, albeit the amount of play that people would suggest against Panathinaikos and the other side that they beat Victoria Plizen were not particularly compelling. I mean, he's beaten Hibernian and are now third in the league. Rangers are not going to stay second from bottom. They're going to get better. The interesting thing is, I think the Rangers fans were fed up with the previous ownership. Fed up. We had Dave King on talking about investor fatigue. I've spent some time with these guys. I thought they were slightly small-minded for people that had such a big opportunity with such a big club. And you've now got a new ownership model that's very experienced in football, knows its way around. And unless they're really stupid, which is what people will portray them to be now, they've taken Russell Martin on for a reason. And there's got to be just a little bit of latitude to try and give him his head. Now, whether that's 5 games, maybe in Scotland's world it is 5 games. Maybe it is 5 Premier League games and not showing enough in that. That's the end of you. That's how it really works. I don't think it should. I don't ever like talking about managers getting fired. Really, I don't. I mean, we get into the conversations because it's the nature of the beast, but it's not my
after 5 games.
It's not my favourite opportunity. Russell Martin sometimes is the architect of his own downfall, but I'm not entirely sure he's done that much wrong since he's been there, besides not win games. He's got to win football matches. He's got to go and beat Livingston next time they're out. He's got to win games in front of his home fans. It's very difficult. Once a die is cast, it's very difficult to change people's opinion. It's like the old expression, isn't it? All angels repent, all angels rejoice in heaven when one sinner repents. But it's very difficult to see how people can change their mind, because the moment Russell gets things going again, the noise will dial down. And if he loses a couple of games again, boom, it'll come back up again, because it's seeded in the narrative of people's perception. We didn't want him. He wasn't good enough. He's a flash Harry. He's all this, he's all that, he's all the other. And so it's a very difficult one for him. He has to win football matches.
Did you have a situation at Palace where a manager with the fans were got done with him, but he's recovered?
No.
Because didn't you tell us once about, was it Neil Warnock, you had a conversation where he felt maybe he was at the end of and you helped him and said, I've got you.
Oh, that was nothing to do with the fans. That was a bad football match. The fans were with Neil. I mean, the fans, the fans they weren't very happy with Trevor Francis. They weren't very happy with Peter Taylor, and neither one of them regained their poise.
So you think this feels inevitable.
I think it's difficult to see how he turns. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, you have been before.
But they deserved it. They did, I mean, with respect to the way that they played, and certainly Peter, they deserved to have people's ira. It wasn't good enough, and even I fell asleep at the end watching it.
He needs to win his next two. That is for sure. They play Genk on Thursday night, the Belgians in the Europa League.
That's not easy.
They're at Livingston on Sunday, away from home.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so
is Genk at home?
They won't give him any cover.
Genk's at home.
They won't give him any. If he wins in Europe, they won't give him any cover. If he doesn't win in Europe, he'll get berated. If he does win in Europe, he won't get any consolation for it. He's got to win Scottish Premier League games. Because they'll just say Europe here doesn't matter. Of course, until you're losing in Europe, then it does matter. Whatever he does right now, he can't do anything right. So the fact is, the noise hasn't. He's beaten Hibernian, who are above them in the league, going quite well, beaten them in a cup competition. He has to go and win every game that's in front of him now.
Yeah,
go win 4 or 5 games. Try and stop the noise. Try and stop the hysteria. Try and stop the extremists in every fan group that have decided that they've made their mind up, and that's the end of the discussion. Now, the only way you can do that is, as Danny says, get 4 or 5 games on the bounce, let it quiet.
Yeah.
Let it quieten down.
I mean, he's got a rare... Genk lost at home at the weekend to Union Saint-Gilloise in the Belgian Pro League. I mean, you could say, so what? Rangers put Hibs out the League Cup on Saturday evening. You could say, so what? But Rangers won and Genk didn't. So they go into this... It's all or nothing, I think, for Russell Martin now. He has to find wins.
It always has been, isn't it?
Well, but such is the temperature of and the mood now, Simon. Wins and wins only will do.
Yep.
It's as simple as that, I think, Dan.
But it's always been that way. It doesn't matter who you were.
Well, it doesn't matter. I think any manager gets a few games at any club, don't they?
Well, they didn't want him from the outset.
It's not always been this way, Simon. I mean,
why is
they had banners unfurled, and the 11th minute of play at Ibrox on Saturday, hundreds of coloured balls thrown on from one of the stands, and they stopped play.
But they said that when they got knocked out against Club Brugge, which everyone knew there was a distinct possibility they were going to get beaten by Club Brugge, even the Rangers fans, right? You get a player sent off, they got hammered, right? He gets a banner unfoiled against the stand saying, "Get out of our football club." Why is that? Why has that happened so quickly? Why is it? Is it because he's an Englishman come down to Scotland? I thought that they
lost the next one after that at home as well, league game.
They did. But the fact is this had no dispensation. There's been no dispensation for him whatsoever. I'm not making a case for him or against him.
No, I hear you. It's early to go.
You've got a new ownership model. You've got a club that was treading water that wasn't going to win anything under its current ownership. You've got the new ownership come in. They've picked their man. Why doesn't he get a bit of latitude? Why is the toxicity at this level?
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
because he's lost a few games.
He's lost a few games, and they're simply not having his way.
I think also as well, some of the fans might suggest the manner in which they've.
Why are they calling for the owners out? Why don't they go that far then? The owners have only been there 5 minutes. Why don't they call for them out too? Because the owners are the ones that put the chief executive in or maintain the chief executive. The chief executive is one who's employed a manager alongside the owners. So why aren't they screaming for the owners to be out as well? Because
we'll put it out there. Any Rangers fans want to join us, you're more than welcome to. 03717 223344. Did that win over Hibs do anything to quell your ire towards Russell Martin? Russell Martin, born in England, in Brighton, but played for Scotland, of course, and at one stage, back in 2018, yeah, I'm right, was on loan at Rangers around that time. So he knows the club and he knows Scottish football, but it's still the case, no matter what, you're not having them. No matter what. Even if a win comes your way against Genk and then a win next weekend comes your way against Livingston, you're still not having them. 03717 223344.
Well, if Mikel Arteta had his handbrake on yesterday at the Emirates, then Pep Jose Guardiola had a clamp on his vehicle. So says Ali McCoist.
I was fascinated by that game yesterday, Jeff. I really was. The talking point's not Arteta this morning. The talking point has to be the way Guardiola went about that game.
Pep's side had just 32% possession, which is his lowest ever in a top-flight match. And McCoy says he didn't have an issue with Arteta's selection, except that Eze could have started in place of Marino.
I don't think he's wrong at all, starting with Madueke and Trossard, right? He could have started with Saka, but looks of things, and he could have started with Martinelli. Well, we could have a discussion. Does he start Eze in the middle of the park instead of either? We're talking about two players here, Marino and Zubimendi.
Meanwhile, after Villa extended their winless run this season with a draw against 10-man Sunderland, Troy Deeney says he's concerned by the apparent lack of effort from Ollie Watkins.
As a striker, you can't always guarantee you're going to score, but you can guarantee you put yourself about and you give the opposition something to think about. At this moment in time, he just looks off it. He looks comfortable.
And after a first World Championships without a gold medal since 2003 for Team GB's track and field athletes, our correspondent Michael Waydock says there are no excuses.
I think when you put £20.45 million of taxpayer, lottery payers' money into a sport, you are entitled to ask questions.
There's more at talksport.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
In view of some a very unfair office bullying during the last break from Danny and Simon towards me.
I tell you what, it should be a protest against people being dragged to see Downton Abbey, the film.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Who did that over the weekend?
Yeah.
Matt Gibson from BetMGM joins us live on the show. And we're going to look at not what we've seen in the movies, but we're going to look at some of the odds round and about some of the top sporting events right now. Let's look back. Mr. Gibson, good morning. And you've arrived right on cue and saved my bacon. Let's look back at the top of the Premier League table for the weekend and who did what to whom. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hope we're doing well, and the Downton Abbey chat is limited on today's show.
It won't be.
I mean, you can't not look past Liverpool's results, right? They're 5 from 5. They haven't thumped anyone just yet, but seem to be able to get it done. Bringing Isak and Wirtz off the bench, 30 odd million quid's worth of players. They're kind of inevitable, and we've seen them shorten a wee bit in the odds. They were 6-5 last week to win the whole thing. They're now into 9-10. Palace next, a little bit of a bogey side for Liverpool. Palace big price at 16-5. I wonder if Mr. Jordan's tempted by that one. And then yesterday we saw Arsenal and Man City. Arsenal drifted slightly, not much, 37-20 from 8-5. And again, City have come in a wee bit because I think that's a decent point away from home for them. Thought potentially Arteta was a wee bit safe, gents. I don't know how much you watched it, but if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd like him to go for the kill a little bit more. But the Arsenal are 5 points back.
Well, yeah, we had some Arsenal fans on at the top, Matt, who were saying just that. But Danny, Liverpool, when you look at it, and as Matt spells out correctly, Liverpool 5 from 5. It is the perfect start. I don't know about you. I cannot see it. I hope I'm not the kiss of death here. I cannot see that stopping anytime soon, that trend that they've started. Winning.
Well, it's a great habit to have, isn't it? Getting over the line when you're not quite at it for full 90 minutes. They've just got terrific players who find a way. But they won't want to keep riding the luck because it does run out if you keep waiting to score late goals. I thought first half Everton, although Liverpool really good, Everton were disappointing. They really were. Too much respect, gave Liverpool too much respect. And, but yeah, they're looking really strong. I still don't think for sure yet he's got his best team.
Well, I was just going to say that. Matt, we'll come back to you in a second, but Simon, that is the key point. Can you imagine what Liverpool are going to look like when they really click?
Well, we were saying that earlier on about him finding his best team, and this is one of the downsides of having an embarrassment of riches, is to try and work out who is the best players that you want to assemble in your starting lineup. He'll do it.
He will.
They'll be better for it. And they'll get better and stronger. I mean, I don't know why we're wasting time talking about this, because Matt Gibson wants to talk about bloody Leeds.
Well, he does.
In fact, they've won a game.
I'll tell you what, we'll do that now. I mean, Leeds United, they go to Wolves at the weekend and they win. Your boys did well. Calvert-Lewin, one of the 3 scorers. I mean, where are you at with it this morning, Matt? Because it's a nice feeling for you. Probably won't happen very often.
Yeah, as you rightly point out, fairly happy this morning. About 12 minutes past 3 on Saturday afternoon, I was in a bit of a bad place, but fair play to them. Simon, I hope you've ironed the little fella's shirt and he can wear it with pride this week.
He has worn it. He has worn it.
Yeah, he might, like I say, might not get too many chances to do so. So we'll make hay while the sun shines on that one. But all 3 promoted sides, gents, are out of the relegation. Right. And obviously, I'm biased and I've got a horse in the race, but I think it's good for the league to have those 3 promoted sides sort of not rooted to the bottom.
Is there odds? And I shouldn't ask you a question that necessarily you might not be prepared for. I'm going to do it anyway. Is there odds for all 3 sides to stay in the division?
Of course, there's odds.
As a 3-timer, we can certainly price it up for you, but there's been some market movement for sure. I mean, Sunderland were 1-4 to go down pre-season. They're now 11-10. We were 17-20. We're now 5-2. And Burnley, to be fair, Burnley are still big favourites to go down, despite them picking up a couple of decent points in the last few weeks. They're still 2-5 to go down. But I think dragging the likes of Wolves, West Ham, maybe Brentford, Forest, we don't know what they're going to do. Villa have been disappointing. The fact that we can, promote sides are taking points off well-established Premier League teams, I think is quite, obviously I'm biased, but I think it's quite good for the league as well.
Yeah, we were talking about the Scottish scene as well. There's Paul, who's obviously Scottish because he's speaking Scottish in this message. Russell Martin's coat is very much on a sugarly peg. He's holding the screwdriver, Jim, only he can fix it. So I've got that kind of image in my mind of Russell Martin, the joiner, holding the screwdriver. As Danny knows, as we all know, the Ryder Cup gets underway, Matt, on Friday. Where are you at with it? Because we want Europe to win this thing.
Absolutely, we do. We've gone quite bold to kick off Ryder Cup week. The team top scorer boost we've looked at. We've shoved Scotty out at 4-1 to be USA's best performing player, and we've shoved Rory out to 6-1 to be Europe's best player. So we've gone quite big on value for 2 big names there. I've got a right day lined up Friday, Danny. I don't know what you're doing. I'm teeing off at 8 a.m. I reckon I'll be back in front of my TV for just after lunchtime, and then I'll be locked in until Sunday evening.
No, I've got a game Thursday, and then Friday I'm leaving free to watch it, all the build up and that. Saturday morning I've got 4-ball competition at 7:21 a.m. tee off, or 7:31. I can't remember. So I'll be done ready for the Saturday's play as well, because it's a bit later, isn't it, with the time difference?
Yeah, I mean you'll race around, Danny. You don't take many shots anyway, but
that's true.
Yeah, USA 4-6. The tie 11-1. Don't rule it out. Europe 13-8, but we'll all be wearing blue and yellow on Friday, and it's sure to be a proper contest, I think.
It will be. Before we leave you, Matt, we'll ask the golfing aficionado, Mr. Murphy. I know what your heart wants. Does your head tell you Europe? No. Be honest. No.
I think home advantage massive with the fans all for them, but
yeah,
also just in terms of the quality of players, they've got more top seeds, the Yanks, than the Europeans. Although some of the Europeans are playing great, there's going to be a bit of luck involved, especially in the foursomes where you alternate shots, because if one of them's off,
yeah,
the other one can't do much if you're playing out of rough all the time. But I think it'll be tight, but I think America will nick it.
And what about old former 8 handicapper or
12.
whatever you were?
13. I keep saying 13. I've been consistent all along.
Simon was down to 13 handicap at one stage in his life. We're looking into that even as we speak, Matt. What do you think?
Now he's handicapped by you.
I think Europe go there and win it. I think it's going to be one to savour and one to remember.
You're just making that up. And what are you basing that upon?
I'll tell you in the next break, and I'll tell you about the movie I saw yesterday. But I think Europe will somehow find a way to win there. Scheffler, the lot, all of them. Yeah, everybody fancies the US. I think Europe will do it. I think they're going to surprise us. Do you want to throw in anything at this stage? Like that, totally irrelevant, what the odds for the 3 staying out or whatever?
Well, it's interesting because the fact that free promotion, we make a big song and dance about the fact that the league is being compromised by lesser teams going up and going down. The whole thing's broken, parachute payments distort everything, blah, blah, blah. And here you've got 3 teams in the Premier League.
I'd be more interested in Simon's view on the final of the javelin at World Athletics Championship.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
I was playing golf.
Right. You were a former javelin thrower as well.
I did javelin whilst pole vaulting at the same time.
Matt, thank you very much indeed. That was a look at the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus, be gambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
couple of podcasts I want to mention at this stage. The latest episode of the 21 Minutes to Go podcast with Andy Goldstein, Jason Cundy is out now. If you haven't already heard it, go and check 21 Minutes to Go with Goldstein and Cundy, available on your favourite podcast provider. As well as that, the latest episode of the brand new talkSPORT daily podcast available now. Sean O'Brien, Rupert Bell preview this year's Ryder Cup. We were just talking about it. I fancy Europe. I hope and pray they do it. Tune in on the talkSPORT app or wherever you get your podcasts from. Interesting situation evolving at Aston Villa. Aston Villa under Unai Emery. What did they do at the weekend? They took a point at 10-man Sunderland. They scored their first Premier League goal of the season. Sunderland went down to 10 men. Ronaldo was sent off in the 33rd minute. He kicked out at Matty Cash. And it was Matty Cash who put Villa ahead in the second half before Sunderland's equaliser. But it was Emery's post-match comments that really made my ear prick up. And have a listen. How many times do you hear the word lazy?
We had to recover our identity. I am frustrated and disappointed for how we played. How we are not playing, feeling comfortable with our style. And of course, we had to try to recover our personality, individual as well, confidence and personality to play. As well, we were lazy sometimes in defensively, lazy. For example, the way we conceded, we were lazy. And maybe it's the consequences if we are not feeling dominating, we are not feeling playing in our style. Because the style and when we are building our structure tactically, is the experiences we had here the last 3 years and how we were feeling confidence.
Unai, does this look like your team at the minute?
No, just I am telling you my worries. My worries is through how we are not feeling comfortable playing, getting our identity. I am missing it, Then, of course, I know we need to get confidence collectively and individually.
Danny, if you're one of them Villa players and he's talking about you, where's the identity? We're lazy. This isn't his first language, and he's really labouring over the word lazy. If you're a Villa fan, are you worried about this? What your own manager's saying about you?
I think as a player, I didn't mind being criticised by managers. Normally, they've said it to you first anyway. It gives you a kick up. I used to take it as a kick up the backside, get your act together. The more worrying thing is if he feels like there's a laziness in their play, however he means that, that's a reflection on him, because you've got enough players to change the ones who are lazy. You can at least have a team that's running about. One thing I've not seen from Villa in the time he's been in charge is laziness. So I don't know if a few of them maybe have got in that comfort zone where they think their place is certain. That can happen. Don't know how their pre-season's gone for all the players, whether some of them have started late or there's a lethargy around them. The biggest concern looking at the numbers for me with Villa is from an attacking point of view, they've been nowhere near it. So Everton away, they had 1 shot on target. Newcastle at home, 3 shots on target. Sunderland, they played a lot of the game against 10 men. They had 72% possession. They had 2 shots on target. Brentford away, they lost 2 shots on target.
Yeah, what's happened? 4 months ago, Champions League quarter-final, was that right? Yeah.
Well, I think
obviously, now this, you're lazy.
They've spent big money on Guessand, who hasn't hit the ground running, so he's taking some time, which is understandable. They've not yet got Harvey Elliott or Sancho in the team. And if you think of Villa back end of last season, or second half of last season, a lot of their good performances, especially when you watch them in Europe, the only team to beat PSG in the latter stages was Asensio and Rashford. Gave them a lift, give them the spark. Those 2 left. So it looks like for me, defensively, they're all right still. I know they've lost some games, but if you're not scoring goals and you're not making chances, it becomes much harder to defend.
While you're talking, I'm just looking. Villa fans are calling in big numbers. Do that. 03717 223344. Simon's, Danny, to a large extent, has got a hold of it. But I think these are worrying signs for Villa. We're not through September yet. He's calling them lazy. Where's the identity?
Well, he's talking defensively there.
4 months ago, they went deep in the Champions League.
He's being specific about his criticism, which means defensively they're lazy. If you look at the results, I mean, Palace have beaten them all the time. I mean, Palace, when Villa...
They've got Villa's number.
They've got Villa's number. They've had it for the last year. They've done them every time they've played them. So the fact they beat them 3-0 this year was no surprise, given the fact they beat them in the FA Cup semi-final, done them twice in the league last year, when they were going at full tilt Villa. So you can't just look at Palace in isolation and say it's a lack of goals that's the problem.
One in the
drawing
Premier
0-0
League.
against Newcastle.
They're playing against 10 men against Sunderland.
And they're drawing 0-0. I mean, Sunderland haven't been beaten at home yet. You're going to go to that ground.
That's a tough one, yeah.
It's a tough ground to go to, irrespective of whether Sunderland went down to 10 men or not.
No, they should beat them.
They should beat them, but notwithstanding it, Sunderland have not been beaten at home this season, so they've started very well.
10 men for an hour.
The results are not that bad. I mean, there's just not enough goals being scored. They drew 0-0 with Newcastle when they had a player sent off in the first game of the season. They got beat by Brentford 1-0 away. They lost to Palace, which we all know about. They've drawn with Everton. The League Cup was a penalty shootout, and they've drawn with Sunderland. It ain't that bad, is it?
It is, because I think it's the level of performance. So,
and he'll get it better.
I think he will.
I'm not worried about
Is this
Brentford
an
and
intended kick up the backside?
Yeah.
Or is this quite a strong observation from Emery saying to these guys, he's sending them a serious message here, public as well?
Well, it's the first little problem he's had. Everything's gone so swimmingly well since he's gone in there, and you could argue that nearly every player he's managed in his tenure has improved under him because of his coaching from a collective and individually. Everyone seems to have...
I mean, what's changed? I mean, so Jacob Ramsey. That can't be the change. They had a problem with a goalkeeper that was playing hide and seek with himself, and they've now got him back, right?
Well, they haven't...
What's changed? The manager's got to get a grip of it. It's the manager's responsibility. If he wants to call out the players, he has praised them endlessly, uphill and down dale.
He's allowed to dig them out.
So he's allowed to dig them out.
Yeah, but Danny, can you kick on when there's been no squad refresh?
Well, there has. So my point is, when they've spent good money on Gessan and then they've brought in Harvey Elliott and Sancho, they're the three attacking players who...
Gessan, Lindelof, Elliott and Sancho on loan.
Yeah. So, but those...
On freeze.
But those three yet haven't got themselves in to support the likes of Rodgers in attacking areas. They haven't, and Watkins, they haven't got in the team yet. So they've just come through the door. So let's just hold fire a little bit.
Okay, let's hear from Carl, who's a Villa fan who wants to have his say. Good morning, Carl. Lazy, no identity, is Emery right?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, like from a Villa fan's perspective, it's okay for the players and the manager to take all the plaudits when they're kind of doing well. When it's not going so well, then they need to kind of pull the socks up and perform better. Yeah. I will pull you up on one thing that you just said though, Jim, regarding squad refresh. 9 of the players that started yesterday were at the football club before Emery obviously turned up. He signed something like 16 players who are still at the football club.
Yeah.
And not many of them start every week. So it's okay, Monchi and Damien keep going on about PSR and SCR and whatever it's called this week. But if you look at our transfer kind of policy and the players that we brought in, the fact that we've got 9 players starting virtually every week who were there at the football club before, I think the manager needs to look at himself as well, to be fair.
Wow. Okay.
Do you think though that's going to change in the forthcoming weeks? Because you imagine the likes of Harvey Elliott and Sancho, Gessan obviously who's played a little bit, but they'll start playing more minutes.
No, I don't. Because if you look at when everybody's fit, Morgan Rodgers will play, Tielemans will obviously play, Pau Torres possibly gets in the team.
You got Onana to come back as well, haven't you?
Yeah, possibly, but he's injured more times than not really, and I can see obviously Kamara and Tielemans being the
two holders.
The two holders really more than anybody else. Morgan Rodgers looks completely disinterested, and obviously Ollie kind of the service that he's getting currently at the minute is virtually kind of non-existent. So it is concerning, but at the end of the day, we've got our best manager that we've had in in decades really. You just hope he can kind of pull it around. I mean,
Carl, some good points in there, mate. Thank you for your time and thanks for the call. Remmel is a big Villa fan. Remmel, what do you think of Carl said? Do you agree with him?
To an extent, Jim. Morning, gents, by the way. To an extent, in fact, afternoon now, isn't it? But yeah, I'll carry on. To an extent, I agree with him. I feel like there is a certain amount of laziness and a certain amount of responsibility that goes on the players. But the problem I've got with Emery's comments is that I feel like by making those comments, he's deflecting accountability away from himself, where I feel like from watching Villa this season so far, a lot of the problems, and a lot of Villa fans agree with me, a lot of the problems are down to the system that he's playing. Okay. He's not playing to certain players' strengths. Certain players who he's signed are not getting a sniff. I'll give you a perfect example. John McGinn, great player, great servant to the club. I respect him a lot for what he's done for the club. But if he's not playing centre mid, he shouldn't be on the pitch. He's not a winger.
No,
We've
that's
signed
fair.
players who are a lot more comfortable out wide. But yet, why is John McGinn being played on the left wing? Yes, I love the guy. Yes, I think he's a Villa legend. But there are certain things, that need to change. And we've got the ability to make those changes because we've got the personnel. But it seems like we're not really using, the personnel that we've signed.
Good points, Remel. Thank you very much. You're agreeing with Remel there, the points he made. You agree about the McGinn situation?
Yeah, I mean, I like McGinn, but I think unless he's playing centrally, in the Premier League now, to make chances and be dynamic, you need some pace and some creativity, and that's not McGinn's main attributes.
Yeah.
When you've got someone like Harvey Elliott, who can play anywhere in that front line, and he's a goal threat continually, he tries to make things happen. You've got to get him in the team. I mean, Guessand, he is struggling a little bit, the new signing, but he's a pacey guy who's athletic as well and got a bit about him. You have to give new players a bit of time. I understand he's probably wanting them to understand his methods, so he's going with what he knows. They already know the system to get them out of trouble. The reality is he might have to go with the new boys to get them out of trouble.
Yeah.
Because the ones who he trusts aren't performing for him at the minute. So I've not got a big concern for him. He's just such a terrific coach.
Neither do you, Simon?
No.
Not really.
Not at all.
Next up, Fulham. Next Sunday, Villa have got Fulham at home. We're coming up to 12 noon. Remel, the call was right there. It is now good afternoon, everybody. We're live in talkSPORT, and we're also live on your tellies. You know where to find us, even Prime Video. We're live in talkSPORT, courtesy of Selco. It's where the trade goes.
For your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon. Here are your sports headlines. Was it dull as ditchwater or a fascinating tactical showdown? Scholars are divided over what to make of Arsenal's draw with City. Professor Jordan reckons, like many others, Pep's side, just like Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, was shown too much respect.
Are Man City the team? No, they're not the same team as they were a couple of years ago. So comparing what Man City might have been like against what Man City are like now, and then saying, well, actually, you have to factor that into the equation, they're not the same side.
Right.
Hence the reasons why they get beat.
The learned Danny Murphy, however, is convinced the lack of creativity at this stage of the season shouldn't concern Gunners fans, given the myriad of their squad options. He also says we shouldn't forget the scale of what Arteta's already achieved.
Between 2017 and 2023, they were getting pumped. 9 times City and Liverpool scored 3+ goals against them. So now they're a side that go up against these top teams and actually are very competitive. Who goes to Liverpool and stops them having a shot on goal?
However, both thinkers have found common ground on the following point.
You have to judge Arteta at the end of this season.
Agreed.
And at the end of this season, if they've come up short again, then everyone can fill their boots.
Yep.
Elsewhere, Red Bull have reached an agreement with Christian Horner for an £80 million payoff. The 51-year-old had been contracted until 2030, but the team have announced he has now left after weeks of settlement negotiations. And the Tokyo Heat, badly located facilities, injuries, they've all been blamed for Team GB's failure to deliver a single Athletics World Championship gold medal since 2003. But our expert, Michael Waydock, says none of those excuses wash.
Johnny Brownlee in triathlon, for example, if he's competing in a hot and humid country, he will go into his conservatory, get on his treadmill and blow hot air in his face to get ready for it. These are all things that should have been planned for, and I don't really buy into these excuses.
There's more on talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Nigel Farage has announced Reform UK would scrap indefinite leave to remain for migrants if it wins the next election, and there are calls for vapes to be sold in plain packages to reduce their appeal to children. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Today it's raining tyres in our centres, including top-notch brands like Pirelli. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Most places will stay dry today with plenty of sunshine. A few coastal showers are in play. Temperatures below average.
Good afternoon, everybody. Monday afternoon, just gone 5 past midday. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT, coming to you live various ways on your TV, Samsung, Apple TV, Chromecast, Google, even Prime Video, wherever you want to watch a show, you can. And the other night when I arrived at the London Palladium to see Neil Warnock in conversation with Simon Jordan on stage, many of you who had shown up, big fans of the show, and you watch the show as well as listen to it, and we're delighted about that. Many Villa fans still getting in touch. And before I move on, Danny, you hinted at it, but this assertion that the team at the moment, the Villa team, is lazy. That is the assertion coming from Unai Emery. Many Villa fans picking up on what you said. Jimmy, listen to Danny there, and this is Hayden Ashcroft. Villa have lost Duran to Fenerbahce. Asensio and Rashford have gone back to their parent clubs. Far too reliant on Watkins. They need a proven striker sometime in the summer. But a lot of this lies at Emery's door for me, says Hayden.
Well, if he's talking about recruitment, I suppose there's an argument there, but they have brought quite a few new players in. He hasn't really got them in the team yet. Whether that's because he takes time, a lot of managers want their players to know exactly how the system works before he puts them in. If he's talking about having lazy players or their defending was lazy after they went a goal up, etc., then that's on him because he's got to put players in who aren't.
Do you have faith in people like Harvey Elliott and Sancho turning it round?
Harvey will be great for them. He's a brave player.
Sancho?
He makes things happen. I think Sancho will give him balance. Sancho's very good at keeping the ball, and he's not prolific. Obviously, we know that his numbers aren't great, but he's a winger and he can occupy people and go past people. So yeah, he'll get his minutes. Rodgers, we know, is capable of much better. He's a terrific player. I think Villa will be okay. I just think he's going to have to make some changes, freshen it up, get those new players in the side and trust them. Because the ones he's had for a while now, as the other caller really spoke very well about, is that 9 of that team on Saturday were there before he was. So start bringing in the freshness.
Okay, well, Unai Emery's comments about laziness certainly raised a few eyebrows. Enzo Maresca's comments about the so-called bomb squad at Chelsea have raised a few eyebrows as well. Who's lost more perspective regarding bomb squads? Bomb squads, players who don't train with the first team, who for whatever reason are isolated from the first team and the first team squad. So who has lost more perspective regarding bomb squads? The players involved, the PFA, or the clubs for allowing it to happen? Last week, at Chelsea, of course, the PFA contacted Chelsea over Raheem Sterling and Axel Disasi being forced to train away from the first team squad. And in the evening, training in the evening at the club's Cobham training ground. In addition to that, Sterling and Disasi made to eat separately from the squad, which the PFA claims could constitute abusive conduct by the club. And Sterling had posted a picture on Instagram showing him going to training under floodlights with the time showing 8:21 p.m, sending a message out of some sort by doing that. Enzo Maresca was asked about this bomb squad situation, and this is how he answered it.
My father is 75 years old, and for 50 years he has been fisherman, working for 2 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning. This is hard in life, not a player the way they work. I've been in Raheem's situation and Axel situation as a player, and for sure I know that is not the best feeling for a player, because if you are a player, that means that you want to turn and play a game. But then for different reason, the situation is the situation that is in this moment. And I know that the club is giving them the opportunity to work in the right way. And this is the only thing I can say. But it's not just Chelsea, it's any club in the world, I can promise you. Italy, Spain, England, France, USA, Brazil, any club in the world. When for any reason the player and the club doesn't find any solution, you give the player all the tools to do training session and to do everything. But if you are not involved in the squad, you are not involved in the squad.
So when it comes to players like Sterling and Disasi having it tough being members of the bomb squad, Simon, Enzo's basically saying, oh, don't give me that. What about my dad? 75 years old, 50 years, he's been a fisherman, working from 2 in the morning till 10 in the morning. That's tough. The message from Enzo is, these guys ain't got it tough.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's an easy way to go to, because the average man in the street will go, of course, look what these kids are getting and look what they get. And they shouldn't even begin to talk about hardship. You know, the appalling nature of the PFA just appalls me. They have nothing to say about their... I mean, first of all, I would have ignored them completely. I'm sure Chelsea will do. You know, the PFA are about as troublesome as a cloudy day and relevant as well. I mean, coming in and talking about what a player's doing, Chelsea know the responsibility for the £50 million asset that they bought and the £15 million a year that they pay in his wages. They'll know what they can and can't do. They don't need this little ridiculous union to pop up with nothing to say about Isak, nothing to say about players that behave.
You just don't like the PFA, though, do you?
I think they're a disgrace.
You don't like unions?
I think they're a disgrace. I think they were a disgrace over the well-being of footballers in terms of what they did with Dawn Astle and Jeff Astle and a whole raft of other players. I think they were a disgrace when they made a separate
issue.
Personal vanity project for Gordon Taylor. I think their chief executive is weak, and I think this examples it. But the fact of the matter is
it abusive conduct?
Well, of course it's not. How's it abusive conduct? Who defines what abusive conduct is? The contractual obligations for Chelsea is to provide the player with a sporting chance. Put all of this to one side.
Let me ask you, what the player's done wrong?
Not been good enough.
How do we know that?
Because the coach says so.
So they can't even eat with the other players?
Well, that'll because they're training at different...
That's because they're training
and you guys go way over there and train not with the first team squad. In fact, not now. Later tonight. Head over there.
So what? I mean, are we seriously, just for the purpose of making this an interesting conversation, are we seriously debating whether a player that's going to train for a couple of hours a day for, let's work it out, what's that, 5 days a week, £75,000 a week, no, £100,000 a week, we're talking about £60,000 a day, right? We're going to turn around and say that it's the hardship for them to train in the evening. And their ridiculous agents are going to pop up and say, well, Chelsea weren't facilitatory and let the player out the door. The players on their books are 12 million quid. There would have been a deal done. The player would... If you've got to ask yourself, why is the player in this position? Stop looking at what other people are doing. Start looking at what the player's done. Why is the player in such a position? Who put himself in that position? The player and his performance.
Well, it's irrelevant, Simon, because it's not always about why you're in the position. It's how you do it.
Well, it is.
No, let me finish. I've been in a bomb squad, right? I've been there, and it wasn't my fault, right? But I was
in your
in
view?
it. No, it wasn't. I can tell you.
So what did you do to find yourself in the bomb squad?
I towed the line. Oh, what did I do?
Yeah.
I fell out with Curbs at Charlton because he tried to sell me under my nose, and I found out about it.
Right.
Anyway, that's not the point. It doesn't matter. You still got to conduct yourself in the right way and understand your position. You got to keep yourself fit, keep yourself going, shut up, not whinge about it, and try and get out. It's on you. Like, you can't. There's no hardship in it other than it's a bit. You don't have the banter with the lads because you don't see them, or you might have to eat with a couple of the young boys or whatever. It's not the end of the world. It's fine. It's temporary. You know, comes January, Zazi and Sterling will find an exit route because they'll get sick of doing this, and you've just got to get.
Well, you're right. I mean, the club reportedly have allocated a coach to the two of them with the aim of keeping them fit, so they're in a position to secure transfers.
Which benefits the club.
There's the club's job done, isn't it? So why do we have to listen to a union and probably some idiot agent popping up with the fact that it's some sort of hardship on the player? Why do we actually have to listen to this?
But there is
that's
an
why
argument.
I make the point.
The club's making an example of them.
No, they're not.
The only thing I'd say,
why are they making an example of them? Because they're not fit for purpose. He's not fit for purpose.
I'll tell you why most managers don't want players who aren't involved around the others, because they feel like they're cancerous.
And they tend to be.
They can be. I think I've been in situations as somebody in this position and also seen other players in it. I actually think at times, if you are a good leader and you communicate well. So my position, for example, I remember having this problem as well at Blackburn in my last year of my career. And the manager didn't want me with the lads. But I was actually understood his predicament. I was like, I just want to train.
But this generation of footballer cannot take any kind of criticism, cannot take any kind of pushback. We've got a media that constantly, or a fan base that constantly suggests that people have got to be looked at in a certain way. This whole framework of a conversation is absurd. It's absurd.
Is the club blameless in this? Why give them a 5-year deal?
Because you thought the player was going to be worth it. And you took a punt on it, and you paid £50 million for him and £15 million a season for him to do his job.
And they're paying for that.
And he didn't do it. So they put him out on loan to Arsenal, and he did nothing there. So you look at it and say, why is there no desire? If someone said we'll give Raheem Sterling to you on a free transfer for £10,000 a week, there'd be a load of buyers. So it becomes about what it costs everybody to be able to make the equation work. And the reality of it is, have Chelsea fulfilled their obligations? They bought the player, they've played the player. And they've paid the player. Has the player fulfilled his? No. And now we've got to listen to this garbage.
I do agree with you.
Whether it's his well-being, whether he's training at 8 o'clock knocker, whether it's preposterous.
No, I do agree.
Outrageous.
I do agree. But there is a caveat to it where you think, for the sake of two players, Zazi and Sterling, if you're the manager and you have a chat with them and they understand their predicament, they're okay with it, just let them join in with the lads. It's not going to be a drama.
Exactly.
You know, if there's 5 or 6, fine. It's too many. And I know you're training, set up.
Is this necessary? That's a basic question.
If I was
these lenses, is this necessary?
If I was a coach, I'd like to think I had the emotional intelligence to deal with two players. They know
what
where
length? What lengths are they going to?
As I've explained.
What? They have
isolating them, making them train at night.
I don't think you should have.
Eating on their own.
What length is this?
Eating on their own.
So basically, you're not having to do your primary function, which is actually play. You're getting paid £300,000 a week to rock up a training ground for a couple of hours a day and go back home again. And we're saying that's length, are we? Wow. I hope these players never get any real hardship then.
As Enzo says,
part of the problem.
Look at my dad.
That's why you've got no character, no resilience, and no substance in society because of this crap.
We should have a bomb squad in here.
Indeed.
It would mean that you could broadcast from another studio.
We could all go and watch Downton Abbey, innit?
It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we're live on Talk Sport. No bomb squad here. And courtesy of Selco, where the trade goes. Sad news to report this lunchtime. Over the weekend, we learnt about the passing of former Liverpool women's manager Matt Beard at the age of 47. Matt was recognised as a true champion of women's football and had been seen as virtually instrumental in the growth of the women's game. He led Liverpool to back-to-back WSL titles in 2013 and 2014. He actually returned for a second spell in 2021, but he left in February this year. Liverpool women's match with Aston Villa was postponed yesterday following the announcement of Matt's death. Liverpool paid tribute to a man they described as an extremely committed and successful manager. The Telegraph's women's football reporter Catherine Batty. Catherine has joined us on this show on a number of occasions. Catherine, good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us. Simon and Danny both with me. You'd written in the past various articles about this man, Matt Beard, and presumably you had interviewed him, Catherine, as well. This is sad news, isn't it? The fellow was just 47 years of age.
Yeah, it's really, really sad. And I think you can see from the tributes that not just his former players, but players that didn't even work under him, that came up against him, how heartfelt they were, just how much, how well loved he was by everyone in the women's game. I mean, he achieved so much. He won a lot of trophies, but I think what people remember him for is just how kind and generous he was with his time. He was really, really warm, always up for a laugh and a joke with you after a game, regardless of the result, and really welcoming to the media. So, it's an immeasurable loss for the women's game and just a really, really sad 48 hours.
I mean, nobody can argue for 1 second, Catherine, about his contribution to women's football. He had previous spells at Millwall Lionesses, Chelsea, West Ham, National Women's Soccer League side Boston Breakers, as well as an interim period in charge of Bristol City. I mean, talk about commitment.
Matt was someone who worked in women's football when there was no money in the game, and when it wasn't fashionable or cool to work in women's football, he really championed it. And I think that sometimes is overlooked, his contribution to the game as a whole. And it was because he just loved football. He was really, really passionate. He didn't earn a lot of money when he was working in women's football in the early days, but he was so committed to it, and he worked his way up from the bottom of the pyramid all the way to the top, and won trophies. And he's the most successful Liverpool women's manager in their history, and who would be remembered for what he did for the women's game, but also, again, as I say, just for who he was as a person, and the warm and loving character that he was.
Catherine, he might have contributed a lot to the women's game. He achieved a lot as well, though, didn't he?
He did, those 2 titles for Liverpool in 2013 and 2014, it really was kind of, he made history with them. And, Liverpool had never won anything in the women's game before that. They made a statement by kind of going professional and putting a bit of money into the team. But, Matt held off competition from Man City, who were investing a lot at the time, Chelsea. And, the second title, I think they went into the final day in 3rd place, and they ended up winning the title in a really dramatic dramatic, probably one of the best final days of the WSL has ever seen, and that's probably one of the most memorable title wins in the competition's history. But also getting Liverpool back into the WSL when he went back for that second spell. They'd been in the Championship for a couple of years, really struggling. He got them back into the top flight, finished fourth in his in a couple of years' time as well, and he achieved so much there. And as I say, he's the most successful manager that they've ever had, but he also had a great impact at other clubs as well. I mean, we saw Casey Stoney say how much he did for Chelsea when they had no money there, and how much he took them up to another level before Emma Hayes went in after him. So he's had success wherever he's been, and he leaves a lasting legacy on the women's game.
And how was he to deal with in your dealings with him?
As I say, he was always up for a laugh and a joke. I went to interview him at Melwood a couple of years ago, and he invited me to eat with him in the Liverpool canteen, and not many managers would do that. He took great pleasure in showing me his fantasy TV and the dedicated crime channels. He loved watching his crime TV shows. So, and he was the only manager that ever invited the other WSL managers for a drink after the game. It's not really the done thing now, but Jonas Eidevall said he was a connecting force, Matt Beard and his fridge. So he was always up for a drink and a laugh.
I mean, from what Catherine's description of him is like, both during a game, after a game, before a game, this fellow looked after a lot of people, and he was a bit different, Danny, by the sounds, but different in a good way.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about him. I think what says a lot about him is that he was so dedicated to the women's game and improving women's football in a time where the financial gain was very small. That tells you his passion for it, and actually probably he's one of the people who'd be remembered for doing that, because obviously there's a lot of people who worked in women's football probably for free back then as well. So he will be remembered for that, and it's nice to hear the compliments coming in, because it's no age at all, is it? 47. I mean, he's only a year younger than myself.
That's all. How would you sum him up? I mean, you knew him, Catherine. How would you sum him up?
A larger-than-life character, lovable, fiercely passionate, dedicated to football, and just one of the nicest guys around.
Catherine Batty, Telegraph women's football reporter. Catherine, thanks as always for joining us. And following that sad news over the weekend regarding Matt Beard, Shabana Hearn will bring you the Women's Football Show, where they'll bring you a tribute, a bunch of tributes actually, to one of the greats of the women's game, Matt Beard. Of that, there is no doubt. So that's talkSPORT's Women's Football Show, live on talkSPORT 2 at 10 o'clock tonight, or as a podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. We're at 12:30.
Mikel Arteta had his handbrake on yesterday at the Emirates. Then Pep Jose Guardiola had a clamp on his vehicle. So says Ali McCoist.
I was fascinated by that game yesterday, Jeff. I really was. The talking point's not Arteta this morning. The talking point has to be the way Guardiola went about that game.
Pep's side had just 32% possession, which is his lowest ever in a top-flight match. And McCoy says he didn't have an issue with Arteta's selection, except that Eze could have started in place of Marino.
I don't think he's wrong at all, starting with Warnecke and Trossard, right? He could have started with Saka, but it looks of things, and he could have started with Martinelli. Well, we could have a discussion. Does he start Eze in the middle of the park instead of either? We're talking about two players here, Marino and Zubimendi.
Meanwhile, after Villa extended their winless run this season with a draw against 10-man Sunderland, Troy Deeney says he's concerned by the apparent lack of effort from Ollie Watkins.
As a striker, you can't always guarantee you're going to score, but you can guarantee you put yourself about and you give the opposition something to think about. At this moment in time, he just looks off it. He looks comfortable.
And after a first World Championships without a gold medal since 2003 for Team GB's track and field athletes, our correspondent Michael Waydock says there are no excuses.
I think when you put £20.45 million of taxpayer, lottery payers' money into a sport, you are entitled to ask questions.
There's more at talksport.com.
Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy. We're live on talkSPORT this Monday lunchtime. Christian Horner, Simon, 80 million to say goodbye to Red Bull. Yeah. That's a nice goodbye, isn't it?
Red Bull gives you ka-ching.
Doesn't it just? I mean, we talk about managers getting a nice financial handshake when they move on. That's colossal money, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what it's made up of, whether it's severance pay against his contract or whether he had options in the framework of the business, a whole raft of things, but... Yeah, that's the contract he had. That's the opportunity he had. Fair play to him. There's a lot of money in F1, isn't there? And he was very instrumental in the building, creation, and success of that side team.
Yes. Liverpool, Danny, came out on top in the Merseyside derby narrowly, 2-1 against Everton. 5 wins from 5, and we've spoken about that. What about Everton? What about refereeing complaints? Have they got a point, or is it an exercise in deflection? Everton players and David Moyes unhappy with the referee slowing the game down, not allowing them to take quick free kicks, booking their players for attempting to do so. And there was unhappiness at reverting to the traditional 3 minutes of stoppage time. Haven't seen that in a while. Normally it's got about 6, 7, 8 or even more minutes of stoppage time. It was 3 minutes. Anyway, this was Moisey post-match.
I think 3 minutes was very strange. We've been playing a couple of teams who've taken quick free kicks in the games and they've caught us out. But today, every quick free kick had to be stopped and brought back for the whistle. And then we get a booking for it. I find it quite unbelievable. The game, where they're talking about trying to keep the game quick. Ball and play time. Found that difficult.
What do you think, Danny? I mean, has he got a point, or is that an exercise in deflection?
I wouldn't be talking about it because it just comes across as petty. The one he's talking about where I think it was Dewsbury Hall got a yellow for taking a quick free. I'm all for letting quick free kicks go. I think we want to see that. It's your advantage. And they might have an argument on that one. I don't think he was in exactly the right place, but I don't know why the ref needed to book him. It was a bit of a strange one. But generally, I agree with him in terms of quick free kicks. Should let it go, like whether it's a few yards or just get on with it. You've made the foul, you should suffer. Yeah. Let them play. But overall, the reason they lost the game was their first half performance. They actually adapted. He got them sorted second half. They were much better. Second balls, more compact. First half, they were too spread out. Liverpool just picked them off. Could have been 3 or 4. And that's on them. So, yeah, to be bringing that up, I'd have let it go. I would have just let it go. And also the injury time thing at the end. I mean, how often do we hear that managers moaning about not being enough injury time?
Yeah.
The reason I've never seen a manager moan about
too much
of injury
course,
time
when they're winning, and it's the other way around.
Yes, I've never heard a manager moan about the minutes at the end when they're not losing.
It sparked a lot of conspiracy theories over the weekend. This was typical Liverpool getting the advantage of 3 minutes when sometimes we see a lot more than that. Having said that, if it was 2-1 Everton, would Moisey be talking like that?
It's the fourth official's job to stop the clock when he feels like it needs to be stopped and tell the referee how many to add on. So what are we saying? The fourth official's what? A Liverpool fan? Is that where we're going with it?
We're not saying that. But what we are saying is that Matt Gibson celebrated
You said conspiracy.
Long into the night. Thank you, Danny. No, not for us. But
no, for them.
Yeah.
There's somebody saying there's a conspiracy, which basically saying there's foul play. And there isn't.
There isn't. There definitely isn't. As I said, BetMGM's Matt Gibson celebrated long into the night because Leeds won a game and Matt was happy. But Wolves lost that game by 3-1.
Oh, they didn't half help Leeds.
Well, that was it. And Simon, have you ever been in a situation whereby you give your manager a fresh new deal, a great new deal, as Wolves have done.
And he starts losing loads of games.
To Vitor Pereira. But all of a sudden, it's looking like, will that come back to haunt you? I mean, Wolves are rooted to the bottom of the table, 5 losses from 5. He gets a new deal. They're in the driving seat. They lose 3-1. Might that come back to bite you in the backside? Have you ever had that when you were at top of the tree at Palace?
I was too busy firing them, not giving them new contracts.
Yes.
The answer would have been no. I often found that with players, give them a new contract, they didn't do anything for the next 6 games. So it was the other way around.
I think you backed us during the week last week that Wolves had done the right thing by giving him a new deal.
Well, because the evidence that was in front of their eyes was far more compelling than 2 or 3 games at the beginning of the season. And the fact that the guy had done a decent job, taken them from a difficult position where they were, and they were struggling and losing control of their dressing room and potentially losing their position in the Premier League, and turned it around quite well and quite nicely, suggested to me that they might have a good vision of why they wanted to give him a new contract. The fact they've started poorly, I mean, he seems quite calm and composed about it all. He doesn't seem to be fazed by it. That's maybe an element of experience, age, and understanding that things will get better. But, you know, if it continues this way and they've got 2 points out of 10 games, then all of a sudden what they've given themselves a headache, which is because they've got a financial problem now, which is if they really do think that he can't continue, they've just given him a load more money. But, you know, that's the nature of the beast.
They might have no safety net, though, Danny, in that in recent times, 3 worse teams than X, Y, and Z. Well, Wolves might find that this might come back to bite them because of the starts that some of the ones that have come up have made.
It's been a really poor start. I suppose the mitigating factors is 6 or 7 new players, none of them with Premier League experience, which is never easy for any coach to bring them in, but that's their choice to make those signings. They lost. They haven't had their top goal scorer available. He came on first time at the weekend, Strand Larsen. They lost their second top goal scorer, Mateus Cunha, who hasn't, who's a terrific player. They also lost Aït-Nouri, who was really productive for them down that left-hand side. And the players who they've brought in to replace Cunha and Aït-Nouri don't look at that level right now. So that, and of course, new players from different leagues across Europe coming in, you've got to give him some grace. But Premier League's ruthless. They lose another 2 or 3 on the spin, all of a sudden they're climbing Everest.
Yeah, it's Tottenham next
weekend. And the pressure builds. And by the way, Tottenham next is not a good game to have. Because I did their game at Brighton. They were good. They look strong, fit, confident, organised. I know they lost that game to Bournemouth, but other than that, they've had a terrific start.
Well, I mean,
they made Brighton look average.
Jurgen Strand Larsen, Simon, saying, no, don't look at Pereira, look at us, the players. I mean, he says the goals we conceded were easy crosses and we give away passes. It kills us. Yeah. It kills the people who want to come into the game. It's about the mentality of the players. We need to do better. He's saying, oh, look at us. It's us. It's down to us.
But that's right, isn't it? I mean, again, if you're going to put somebody in a situation to fix a problem, then you give it to someone that's fixed it previously. Now, this one's a slightly bit more of his own making. But also, I mean, they're being disadvantaged, like so many football clubs. Like, there is a point where I'm totally empathetic with managers on the idea that you sell their best players repeatedly and you replace them with lesser players and you expect the same outcomes. Brighton are forever selling players. We understand why, and they're forever asked to work the oracle with the next generation of players that come through, and they keep on doing it. But last summer, Brighton sold players, sold a boy to Chelsea, which was one of their talismanic players. It creates an imbalance on their side, an opportunity. Wolves, if you take Mateus Cunha out of the side, despite the fact he might have been a pest in the dressing room, he was a very capable footballer that gave them a lot of opportunities on the field. And Strand Larsen, I don't know, he's not 50.
Well, he was their top scorer, though.
Yeah.
He might not be aesthetically pleasing, but he's effective. And the reality is, they've spent the money they got for Aït-Nouri and Cunha on 6 new players.
Yeah.
And you live and die by your recruitment.
What is the difference, Danny, with the 3 promoted clubs this time around?
Probably who they're playing at the beginning of the season.
I think they'll have learnt.
I mean, they're giving it a serious tilt.
Sunderland have spent a good few quid. Sunderland look very athletic.
Recruitment, philosophy, mentality?
Yeah, well, all of that. But I think they'll have done their homework on the teams from last season. They'll have looked at where they were weak and what can they do different. Coaches and clubs are clever. You do your own work. I still think Leeds and Burnley will go.
You think Leeds will go down?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
And Burnley?
Yeah. I think Sunderland have given themselves a great chance now, especially by making that stadium a fortress and team structure, because their fans are bang at it. It's a hard place to go, and it will be while they've got some momentum.
And what don't Leeds and Burnley have that Sunderland have?
Well, I think the biggest problem for Burnley and Leeds is firepower. And you could argue that might come for Sunderland. I remember, I don't know if you were still involved when Holloway's Blackpool come up. And they surprised
Charlie
everyone.
Adam.
They had Charlie, they had lots of mad formation going on. They were bold. And then halfway through the season, teams worked them out. And Sunderland might find that. I hope not. I agree with what we were talking about earlier. I think all the newly promoted sides doing well is great for the Premier League. I'd like to see them all stay up, actually. But I don't think it'll be the case. Burnley struggling in front of goal. Leeds had only scored 1, and that was a penalty up until Wolves kept giving them goals the other day. I like Leeds.
Well, you keep him fit. I mean, whatever you to say about his handbags or not, you can play Calvert-Lewin.
Calvert-Lewin's an handful. That's a great goal he got.
Keep him fit, keep his handbag out of a commission, and he'll score a few goals for you.
You can't let that go, can you? That he appeared in the front cover of a magazine and he had a man bag with him.
Yeah,
poor old Dominic
that shouldn't be let
who is a very...
I think he was.
I mean, Bob Latchford, previous centre.
If we were to look back on some of the outfits you wore when
I didn't
you
wear
were
a handbag.
Barcelona,
I didn't wear a dress.
No, but you wore a
Not in
bright
public.
red suit, an orange hair at one stage. I mean, you looked like a toffee apple giving out instructions at one stage when you showed up. You're right, though, Danny.
I didn't give out instructions. I wrote checks.
You wrote checks. Wolves are at Spurs next Saturday night, 8 o'clock kickoff.
Not a good game.
If it doesn't start turning round for Wolves, all of a sudden, he's going to be up against it, is he not? 5 losses from 5. That would be 6 from 6. All of a sudden, you're like, hang on.
Every game's then pressure.
Yeah.
And it depending on the group you've got, that can become heavy.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see. I fear for Wolves. I fear for them.
Okay. We are coming up to 1:45 this Monday lunchtime. No more chat about outfits or man bags. We are live in talkSPORT.
It was a handbag.
Courtesy of Selco.
We'll have to check that.
It's where the trade goes.
Probably got one.
There's Ray, a big Manchester United fan. So you're not talking about us, Jim, this Monday, now that we won a game at the weekend. No, Ray, we will. Just for you, mate, we will. An eventful evening, Danny, wasn't it? At Old Trafford, Manchester United claimed a much-needed 2-1 win over Chelsea in some dreadful weather. What do you feel, Man United fans, some of the diehards will be feeling? Can you trust this team now to create some momentum as a result of this?
Well, they haven't shown any signs that they're going to, when they've had good performances or good wins before, to then go on a run. They haven't done it. So, no, I wouldn't say you can trust them, but there'll be a lot of hope there, especially now they've got players back fit, like Cunha. There's been, I find myself saying this bizarrely, knowing that there'll be criticism of it. There's actually been some positives for United at the beginning of this season. I've seen every game. And that system has become less of a problem. It's been more about the personnel within the system. They have shown, I mean, I thought the first game against Arsenal, they should have won. Never mind, lost.
Yeah.
They battered Burnley for majority of it. Ended up throwing a goal in, a goal or two away to make it hard work, but they still won. First half at Fulham, they should have been a couple of goals up. There's been some good bits. There's been some.
You're right, Danny. I mean,
there's been some progression.
The data doesn't lie. Before the Chelsea match, you're right. United had 70 shots more than any other side in the Premier League.
Yeah. So we'll see. It is a big question mark, because every time you think there's been some progression and there's a bit of feeling of confidence, that they fall short. So we'll see in the next few weeks. I've got a feeling they will do a lot better this season.
What does that look like? A lot better.
Top 6, top 7.
Really?
Yeah.
Top 6?
I mean, I might be completely wrong, but I think they are better. They've got, look, if Cunha and Bruno and Sesko stay fit, and you've got Bruno on the pitch as well, you're going to cause teams problems. And they've shown that already. Their big problem at the minute is letting them in. And that's because they've got certain players in positions who aren't comfortable in them. So we'll see how that progresses. But that win against Chelsea, by hook or by crook, will give everyone a lift. And actually, I thought second half, when they had 10v10, thought United managed the game well. Now, you could argue Chelsea should have done more. That's fair. But United defended with good discipline. They didn't go crazy and start trying to go for the next goal, because they were already winning, played on the counter.
Yeah.
Managed the game well.
They're actually on the same points level as Manchester City.
Yeah, I mean, everything. It's a wonderful thing in life that we spend, or a lot of time is spent catastrophizing things and giving a certain level of impetus, and influence over bad results, and not the same on good results. They've beaten Chelsea.
Well,
they
good performances.
Chelsea helped them, and gave them an opportunity to get themselves into this game, lose their goalkeeper, go 2-0 up, and then Chelsea level it off by getting United players sent off, which, by the way, I thought was just bloody stupid from Casemiro.
It was, yeah.
From a player of that level of experience. But he's got, he has won a game against the opposition. I was talking to various people on the weekend, and some of them, a couple of footballers, that were talking about the idea that even if they lose, it will be baked into people's thinking that it's not a bad result losing to Chelsea, because people can't quite work out why Amarim's getting this kind of pass, why he's getting this kind of, not from, maybe from certain sections of the media, but from the people that he works for and the people that support the football club. There isn't a call for Amarim from anyone else besides sections of the media going, how's this guy getting away with it?
Yeah.
And the thought process was that they'd go against Chelsea. If they got beat by Chelsea, it'd be baked in because Chelsea are a better side right now. But they didn't. They've won. So there should be some optimism as a result of it. There should be a little bit of belief creeping into the football club in terms of the performances. I think are better this season. The results, I mean, we look at the Grimsby moment and go, that's just appalling. And everyone knows it was garbage. Right, and they'll know themselves it was garbage, and it might have been a watershed moment for them. It might have been a wake-up call.
Did we catastrophize that result?
Yes, of course.
Oh, right.
Because every Man United result that's adverse is catastrophised. It's turned into an absolute terrible moment in time for the football club.
Yeah.
And the manager himself helps with that, because he comes along with expressions like, this is the worst team that's ever been in Man United for the last 50 years, when we'd see a team that got relegated in 1974.
Would you tell him to talk less?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean,
be more concise.
I think so. I think less is more.
Were you not asking listeners last week what you're seeing in Amarim?
Yeah, I'm asking them.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because I'm struggling to see how a guy that's been there for a year, that's not made anything worse. At the end of the day, it gets dark. But at the end of the day, you suggest that someone comes in when a problem is there, not to make it worse, but to make it better.
Yeah,
and he hasn't done it yet.
And it's the polar opposite of this. And everything that seems to come out of his mouth seems to be about creating more opportunity for people to pile ridicule and scorn upon what Man United aren't doing.
Yeah. Does Amorim go into 2027 with Manchester United?
I'd be surprised.
Really? Even in view of what you
2027 or 2026?
2026, I beg your pardon. I was sorry, it was a leap year, literally. 2026.
No, I'd be surprised.
Right.
Yeah, because I think the level...
You don't think it'll last to the turn of the year?
No, only because the level of progression that we will see won't match expectation.
From whom? There seems to be...
I think
the poor United fans have been beaten with such a big stick that they're actually... I think they'll finish in the top 6.
I think they might, but top... Is that enough?
But the Man United fans now have been beaten down to such a level that they're grateful for it.
Do you think?
Well, you look at them, but we're not hearing the pushback. Normally, when you see a football club of this magnitude operating at this level repeatedly for a year, you hear the vitriol come pouring through the airwaves, but it doesn't.
But they've got no European... Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of United fans expect to be back in the Champions League.
Maybe by 2027 it will.
I leapt ahead too quickly. The Ballon, well, looking more close to home and more immediately, the Ballon d'Or tonight in Paris. There have been 6 British winners of the Ballon d'Or. So Stanley Matthews in 1956, and no, before you ask, I don't remember it, and I wasn't there. Dennis Law in 64, Sir Bobby Charlton in 66, George Best in 68, Kevin Keegan, 78 and 79, you're right, Simon. And then Michael Owen, Danny, 2001.
Was that Ballon d'Or or was that European Football of the Year for Kevin Keegan?
Same thing.
Well, it's the same thing, but
is it?
Thanks for that.
I'm just trying to add some context.
What does winning the Ballon d'Or? What does it do for a player? He's standing in the game. What did it do for Michael back in 2001, Dan?
I'm on the bench at Real Madrid.
It didn't actually. Michael, it wasn't thought of then like it is now in terms of the kudos around it. I think now if a player wins it, it's everywhere, and he gets put on a pedestal, rightly so to a degree. Michael, it kind of very much took it in his stride. He was getting, plaudits and adoration from everywhere, but it didn't. He was too grounded for that. He wasn't. Yeah. Michael wasn't that type to let it go to him. We weren't. Back then, Jim, we didn't. No one had social media pages going when you're sitting there with a Ballon or in bed with your Ballon d'Or or your FA Cup winning medal.
Yeah,
none of that.
No,
Michael wasn't the type to let it get. He just cracked on.
Yeah,
it wasn't. There wasn't even a big fuss made of it,
Really,
for such a huge award. I remember him being presented to it at the training ground, and we give him a little round of applause, and that was it.
Wow, he didn't go to the ceremony, did he?
I don't think so.
No idea as to why.
Probably we had a game or day before a game or something. I don't know.
And now the names that dominate. I mean, Harry Kane, Scott McTominay of Napoli and Scotland.
Do me a favour.
He's in there. Shout your faces both.
Dembele will get it from PSG.
Jude Bellingham. Dembele in there.
His impact in the second half of the year was incredible for that.
Well, he's amongst the favourites, as is Desiree Doué, Hakimi.
Dembele will get it.
Yeah.
I think so.
Dembele. Danny's told us Dembele's getting it.
Well, I can't see how he gets. Who are the other favourites? Go on, sorry.
Nuno Mendes, João Neves, Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha.
You're basically naming the PSG team.
Yeah.
So the biggest contributor to the PSG team was Dembele.
Yeah.
In winning everything. He scored absolute bagful.
Yeah. Dembele gets your vote.
Yeah.
Danny, thank you. And good having him on a Monday, was it not?
Superb.
Thank you. Simon and I.
Well, at least you didn't get any 10. Contentious issues where I'm coming for you, like you might with mine.
No,
he's changed his ways.
Oh, he has changed his ways.
Luke's neutered him.
What with?
What a thought. We're back tomorrow at 10 in the meantime. And Danny's back with us from 10 on Wednesday.
I am.
In the meantime, this Monday lunchtime, yes, it is. It's coming up to 1 o'clock.